Please welcome back Max Igan.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, folks. Thank you for coming here, folks. It's wonderful for you all to come. I've done many miles since I was here. Who was here for my last talk? Thank you. Who here has seen the recent talk that I gave in Denmark? Not too many. Oh, that's good, because I'm going to be doing some of that again today. I've changed it and extended it a lot. That was a bit of a shorter talk than I'll be doing today. But dear Frank, I love the open mind people. They weren't actually supposed to release it quite so quickly, but that's all good. Okay, what's going on here? Might have to redo this. Interesting stuff, folks. You never know what happens at these gigs. Try that. There we go. Look at that. That's me. That's my website. Anyway, thank you for coming. I kind of wing these things. What's going on here? Okay, yes, no worries, all good. So this is the name of today's talk, 5G, the Rise of Technology and the International Net. Interesting stuff. You know, there's a lot of things that I like to include in all talks. I like to include this, just in case anybody isn't really up to scratch, okay? Reality check here, folks. And also, yeah, I may say some things that you may not agree with, just kind of deal with it. We kind of wing it here, okay? I always like to include this slide as well. This is by a friend of mine called Adam Scott Miller. And this is called Wisdom's Dare. Because that's really what life is. Life is wisdom's dare. Life is daring us to be wise with what we do here, the time we've got to us, and even with the information that we get to us. And with all the information that you get, even the information I'm presenting you, the information that all the presenters present you at all of these talks, it's really important to remember that what we're giving you is our perspective. You know, is it true? Chances are that it is. Chances are we've nailed it with a lot of it, but you know, it's up to you guys to make your mind up. All I can give you is the information I've looked at and what I've been able to make of it. And you know, obviously I haven't looked at everything. I'm not omnipotent, so that's just the way it is. And it's like that with everybody. Everybody's giving you their perspective. So be careful taking anything as gospel. You know, you've really got to look at this and step back and look at the bigger picture. And that's what I've done. I mean, I've spent many, many years just kind of living on the outside of society. I was very fortunate enough that, you know, I didn't really fit in at all from about 4, if that's fortunate. I mean, I had a terrible childhood. I cried buckets and buckets of tears for weeks on end sometimes because I just for the pain of being in this reality. I used to talk to my teddy bear and ask him why I was here. Can you please talk to God? And explain to him that he sent me to the wrong place. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be in a different world. I realised that when I was 4, that I wasn't supposed to be here. This was the wrong place. You know, and here we, so we've got to go through it. So, you know, in everything that we look at, it's wisdom's there, and it's all about our perspective and what we do with it. But we've got so many paths open to us. Everything that we look at, everybody gives us these ways out of this system. And that's the thing, when we're looking at this system, even when I complain about this system to people and I bring these talks to people and I do all this stuff, people say, well, if you're complaining about the system that we've got, well, what's the new system that you want to install? They all want some sort of a game plan. You know, give me some form to fill out and lead me to safety. People aren't really prepared to lead themselves to safety. And it doesn't matter what system anyone comes along. And a lot of them are really good. There's a lot of good ideas. I really respect what Michael Telligen's trying to do with the Ubuntu system. But you're never going to get people to do it. You're not going to get people to be able to embrace a concept of a cashless society or a society without money. And even if they do, if they haven't changed what's in here, it's not going to matter. It's just going to lead us back to this point, because everything that we're facing now is a loss of heart, it's a loss of self, it's our tolerance of wrong behaviour, our tolerance of wrong behaviour from everybody. This whole system is based on wrong behaviour, all of it. You know, we tolerate it. So if we change what's in our heart, I mean, I finish every radio show with In Lakesh. In Lakesh, I am another yourself. You know, the concept that there's a single consciousness here, and we're simply different aspects of that consciousness. And if you treat people as yourself, you change the world. You know, if we did that, if we refuse to tolerate wrong behaviour and we did the right thing in all that we do and don't obey any law or any dictate that causes us to step outside our moral compass, we change the world. It's a ripple effect. You imagine if you went out and did the right thing in all that you do, fuck all the business bullshit, fuck all the parameters, just do the right thing. You know, we'd change the world. And that's the thing, the system would have to change around us if we change what's in here. This is the whole New Age concept that was hijacked. You know, you change the inner world, you change the outer world. And they thought, well, I can just sit here and meditate and then I can open my eyes and everything's going to be a different colour. You know, it doesn't work that way. You've actually got to participate. You've got to get all these new age understandings, all these spiritual understandings that you've got, and you've got to apply them to the world that you live in. You know, you're in a 3D physicality for a reason, and that's because you're supposed to participate, and there's a clue in there, you exist. Maybe a clue there that you're actually supposed to get involved in the world that you live in. You know, so all of these systems that are offered to us, you know, what we've got to find is the one that works, and really the one that's going to work is the path with the heart. That's what we've got to find, is the path with the heart. The path that we're on now doesn't really have much of a heart. It really doesn't. And even this, when you look at what we're doing to the world, there's a subliminal there. It's the white people milking the black people. It's really not like that. It's psychopaths milking everybody. And the white people have been set up as the blame. Oh, it's European culture, all this shit that's going on. It's not really, it's psychopathic culture that's done it. But we've got to pay attention to what's going on, and we do because of these guys. These guys are really important. I like to sit down a bit and chat. These guys are really important. They really are. And everything we do, all the people that come and talk to you on all these events, it's all about these guys. It's all about the future, because, you know, what we're seeing being created now with this whole smart system and this whole addiction to iPads, and what this is about really is dopamine addiction. I don't know if anyone's picked that up, but when you click an icon on your screen, you get a little rush, you know. It's dopamine. That's why kids, when they get these things early, it's instantaneous gratification, and it's dopamine addiction. You give a kid an iPad and he's totally entertained. Take it away and he screams his face off, and nothing will solve him but getting this iPad back. And it's dopamine addiction, you know. And it's totally disconnecting these kids. And the kids, the way it's ramping up so quickly, this whole smart grid and this whole iPad culture, everything is ramping up so quickly that the kids that are starting school now, by the time they leave school in 10 or 15 years, they're going to have no reference point for freedom. They're going to be so disconnected from their parents, all the stuff that's going on, this gender fluidity, this shit. Have you seen this? 300 schools in Victoria have signed up. In Victoria, Australia have signed up. Yes, we agree with gender fluidity. They will facilitate gender transition for kids as young as 6-year-olds without the consent of the parents, without even the knowledge of the parents. And in the document, in the federal whatever it is, bullshit that they gave them, it says there it is possible to consider a child or a minor as a young, or it's possible to consider a child as a mature minor. That's what they said. It's possible to consider a child as a mature minor. Really, I think it's possible to consider these politicians as deranged fuckheads. You know? It's possible to consider all of this stuff. It's possible to consider taking these people out the back and shooting them for even penning this type of legislation. It's ridiculous. Now, you can get a little kid and you can convince them to be anything they want to be. You teach them to be Batman and think it's a real. Teach them to be an alien. Dress a little boy up as a little girl. Teach them it's fun. Give them candy. They don't want to be a little girl. Of course they will. They're a little kid. They don't know. They'll do anything you want them to do. This is not sane. This is not gender fluidity. This is not political correctness. This is not helping anybody. This is crazy. So these guys, we've got to look after these guys, because what are we doing to them? You know, what do we do to our kids? You know, they're born, the state loves to make sure that they're healthy. If you do the studies, you'll find that vaccinated kids get, there's about 400% higher sickness in vaccinated kids than there are unvaccinated kids. And that's from a Harvard University study. That's mainstream. So, you know, even the people in mainstream are telling us. So this is what we do to our kids. You know, the government takes care of that. And even when we're born, we take them home. We put her in front of the TV. We let the TV educate them. We send them to school. The school's great. Turns them into little clones. Take these creative little minds and teach them all how to memorise and think the way they're told, and send them out into the world to be clones. They go out and get caught into the business trap. They spend their lives locked into this debt. They find it it's just in over their heads, and then they sit back and pretend to enjoy it. That's life. I love this picture. This guy's having a great time, huh? He's having a great time. He's got his beer, he's got his chips, he's got his remote control, his team's winning. He's having a great time. He doesn't even notice that he's chained to a wall of debt. And that's his life. That's our life. You know, we go through this and we carry this debt around with us for the rest of our lives. You know, we try to get information. We get brainwashed by religion. All these things, you know, all these different groups you can join. Doesn't matter which side you join, as long as you join one of them and fight with the guys on the other side. Doesn't matter which one it is. Doesn't matter which belief system you adopt, as long as you adopt the belief system. Trying to find out what's going on, we turn to the media. That really helps us out. Really gives us a lot of good stuff. You know, and we chase this dream, you know, the dream, the American dream, the British dream, the Danish dream, the Australian dream, it's all the same dream. Really, it's like George Carlin said, you know, this is the dream, of course, the white picket fence and all this stuff, you know. But it's like George Carlin said, they call it the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. It's as simple as that. You've got to be asleep to believe any of this shit they tell us, you know. And, you know, we continue looking for information. They give us lots of information. They do lots of stuff to help us. They teach us that the world's ending, so we have to do the right thing and have energy-saving light bulbs and do all this sort of stuff, which is just, it's all part of the same plan. It's all part of the same plan, all designed to disconnect us, you know, all designed to disconnect us. And people, they just get their information from this same source. They all sit down, they just get fed this rubbish from this system, and while they're doing it, they're just getting fed all this bullshit from the media, and the system just continues to march out across the world. Of course, they send the churches in first, they send the missionaries in, then they send the government in. You go to Peru, you can go to the jungle and you can find the, you can go to the signs in the jungle and you can pull back the signs of the corporations or ESSO or whatever mining companies there, and you can pull them back and peel them back and you can see the missionary signs beneath them. Where the missionary signs went out there, they just got everybody controlled. It's amazing how they do it. But we go through this and we spend our life these ways, and this is the sum total of what we get for all of our hard work. All the stuff we do. I had my sister wake up a few years ago. She was like 56 or something when she woke up, 57. She's come around to my house, you know. My sister, she's given me a hard time for most of my life. You know, you're a rebel without a cause. What's wrong with you? You know, get a job, do all this shit, you know. And she's there slaving. She's been through 2 marriages. She's sewed her life away, worked really hard. She's a good woman, good hard woman, strong worker, good soul, good heart. You know, and she comes around to my door, she's about 57 years old, she knocks on the door and I open up and I'm like, God, my sister's here, what does she want? I open the door and she goes, hi, and she goes, I'm awake. And I go, you know, of course you're awake, you're here, you're in my door, you know, what can I do for you? And she's going, no, I'm awake, you know. And she woke up at 57 years old or something, whatever she was. And I said, wow, what happened? And she said, well, my son was asking about his uncle and I was telling him what a loser you are. And said yeah, your uncle, he even thinks 9/11 was staged, you know. And he goes, well, Mum, you know, I'm a geologist, I'm a geological engineer, and I'm telling you, those buildings, you know. And she's gone, really, you know? And she said, Then she's checked my YouTube channel, and she's seen like thousands of people listening to my little brother. What the fuck's he saying? You know? She played one of my shows, and she listened to it, and she went, oh my fucking God, he's right. He's been right all along, you know. And she came to my door and she said, I'm so sorry, you know, I've given you a hard time all these years, and I've worked so hard my whole life, and all I've got is this. And I've watched you, you've been there smoking weed and playing guitar and just bumping around being yourself, and you're better off than I am. You know, you're in a better position in life than I am, and you got less worries than I am. You get no bills, no mortgage, no nothing. You're free. And I've worked my whole life to become free when I didn't realise that I was actually free all the time if I just wasn't doing all this shit, you know. It's an amazing thing. And she just went hell to leather. She's taken the plates off her car for the last 5-6 years, driving around. And I am free written on a car. She's like a 62, 63-year-old woman now with a pacemaker. That's her only ID. Oh, you need ID? Here's my pacemaker card, you know. So they can't tase her. They just put her into 2 hard basket and hope she goes away. It's great. She's a trooper, you know. But we see all this shit, you know. We see this life. We look at all this stuff we've got and we think, well, how the fuck do we deal with this? How are we going to deal with it, you know? We just see it. We see what it is. We see for what it is. It's this monetary system, this bullshit, the fact that we've got to pay to be alive. This whole international system that they give us. And we know where it comes from. It's the usurous-based monetary system, the Jewish monetary system. Yes, those guys. We know where it comes from. Interesting thing there, which we'll touch on a little bit later, the Jewish monetary system, the usurous-based monetary system from those who claim to be God's chosen people. Really, you know, God wanted you to do this, you know, because the usurious monetary system creates scarcity. It puts everybody in a state where the debt can never be paid for the currency that you're using. I'm sure you all know how it works: reserve banking, fractional reserve, blah blah blah. You know, all the money that the government uses, that you all spend, it's all borrowed at interest. The interest doesn't exist. The loan can never be paid back. So it's this whole thing that's designed to milk the wealth of the people. The usurious monetary system creates the need for efficiency in work and efficiency in everything you do, because you've got to maximise profits, because you've got to make profit, you've got to pay the bills. It also leads to automation. It leads to things like the creation of the internet, things like the creation of everything that we've got. Really, if you trace it down to it, it all comes down to usury. It all comes down to the usurious monetary system. You go to a tribal culture, you go to a native culture, anywhere you go to a culture, all these people get along fine, and you introduce a monetary system over them, and suddenly they don't know how to live without it. It puts them all in scarcity, and everyone wants to get to the top of the pile. And then you can go and try to take that money away, and they don't know how to live anymore. It's disconnected them. It's this Kabbalistic principle, and it disconnects people from their natural giving. I mean, I give in everything that I do. I just have, you won't find anything on my website for sale. You won't find, I've never monetized my YouTube account. I travel all around the world serving Cambo to people, frog venom, and I don't charge them any money for it. I allow them to give me what they can. You know, if I was to charge you money for the Cambo, if I was to charge you money for information or charge you something, I'm denying you the ability or the opportunity to give me something. You know, give me something back if you want to. If you feel something, then give for it, because it's good to give. And I give in everything that I do, and I'm a living example that if you live your life in a state of giving, it all works for you. I've served Cambo to 87 people this year. I haven't bought any Cambo yet. It just comes to me. You know, everything just comes to me. I received my training for Cambo free. No, I get sick. I did a talk in Big Bear Lake up in the mountains in LA. This little guy comes out with this bag of silver coins for me and this stick of Cambo. I'm like, Cambo? I thought you might need some, Max, you know. I'm going, that's random, you know. And this is enough to serve, you know, the next 50 people Cambo. How can I charge people for the medicine when it comes to me? It just gives me, and I give it back. And every time I could make 10 times more than what I make, but every time I make what I need to get to the next place. And because I give everywhere I go, I have family all over the world. I can travel all over the world, and it's cheaper for me to travel than it is to stay home. Because everywhere I go, I've got family who welcome me in and want me to stay there. Because I give to them and they give to me, and it just works. It's just this family. And there's no expectation. There's no anybody's using anybody or taking advantage of anybody or anything. It's just in like cash. It just works. And I'm a living example of what it works. And if you're religious, if you're a religious person and you believe in Jesus and all this sort of stuff, this is what he did. This is my question to the Christians. You do all this stuff. Why aren't you following the path that he showed you? Because it works. I reckon that if he existed, he was a pretty cool guy. And I like what he did, if he existed. And I kind of follow that path. And it works. He was right. It works. And by the way, I overturned the tables of the money changers while you're at it. You know? But it works. I mean, it works. If you live your life in a state of giving, then you don't have to put up with this shit. It just works. But you see this, you know, you see this octopus. It's there. It's in charge of everything. It's certainly in America. It's certainly in Europe. It's taken over Europe. It's taken over everywhere. It's certainly in the United States, as we see. And we know who controls it in the United States. Yes, those people again. It's taken over the education system, and also the education system here. You've got Common Core here, have you? Or what is it here? Common Purpose. It's the same thing. It's all the same thing. It's this mono education, this mono thinking, transgenderization, the whole thing. It's taken over the education system in all countries. This same octopus, same thing. And now it's taking over everything else. It's taking over the energy systems. It's taking over all communications. It's taking over everything. So what do? You know, you see all this situation. So what do? You have an election, like they did in the United States. That was really great, wasn't it? Who thought Hillary was going to win? I did. I totally thought Hillary Clinton was pegged to win. But they pulled a bait and switch on us with Donald Trump. You know, it was the all the emails and all that stuff, all the Petergate and all that stuff that came out. People suddenly saw what they were electing. You know, it's the thing. Oh my God, we're electing the thing. You know, we can't have that in the White House. And also her election campaign really didn't help much. But and of course, I mean, really, the next president. I mean, come on, folks. Yeah. So they went for Trump, but what did they get? What did they get? What did they give with Trump? You know, more snake oil, change you can believe in, make America great again. Yeah, it was just snake oil, because sometimes things are not what they look like in first glance. They're really not. Isn't that a great picture? Things are just not what they look like at first glance. You know, and what do they get when they elected Trump? They just got another octopus with a Twitter account, basically. That's all they got. It's the same thing, and meanwhile, it just goes on, marches on ahead. The drums of war just keep beating. And, you know, and people, look at America now. Everyone's just brainwashed by the media. Everyone's just getting fed bullshit by the media to a ridiculous degree. And in the United States, you've got the left-right paradigm just going off. You've got the Antifa movement. You know, the Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, you know, whatever. You know, it's just going off. Ku Klux Klan to come out of the woodwork again. I mean, anything they can to divide and conquer. You know, the Charlottesville hoax, the Charlottesville riots. It was a hoax. You know, it was a hoax. Of course, it was a hoax. Apparently, they've changed the Google searches. So you can't, if you Google Charlottesville hoax, you don't get any search results now. Apparently, someone told me. I haven't tried myself, but apparently. Did anyone see the recent talk with the CEO of Google, where he mentioned that when people type into Google, they type in a question, they're getting more than one result? That's a glitch. That's a glitch. You know, oh yeah, they should get the accurate answer for every search. So they want you to get one result with everything you search for. That's nice, isn't it? You know, the Ministry of Truth, they're going to look after us, you know, contain all the results. But at Charlottesville, what they do when someone has a rally, like you know, the white races are under attack. The white races have been wiped out. They are. It's a fact. White races are being blamed for everything the psychopaths have done. You know, it's been blamed on white culture, all this sort of stuff. What they're doing to Europe with the Kalergi plan, this migrant influx into Europe. This is all to do with the Kalergi plan, which was penned in 1928, by the way, by Jewish authors. The plan to genocide the people of Europe via mass migration, 1928. So that's what they're doing, and the white races are being blamed. You know, you can speak out against anybody, but you can't. If you're a white person, you can't speak up for your race. If you do, you're called racist. A black person, a Chinese person, any ethnic minority, if that's the term we can even use. Because if you really look at the world, white people are the minority, but anyway. I mean, sure, white culture's done a lot of damage, but any culture can stand up for itself. You know, Black Lives Matter, but you can't do White Lives Matter. You're a racist if you do that. And you get people who are incredibly racist attacking you and calling you racist for simply standing up for saying, hey, we matter too, you know. So all of this it's all a play, and it's all a divide and conquer play, but it's being done to shift culture and totally shift everything and turn everything into a complete schmozzle and pit everybody against each other. And it's totally in play. You can see it everywhere. So when they did the election, I mean, this is what they got. You know, they basically got that, and it was just a show. The whole thing was a show. Like that thing from Kissinger says, it's not a matter of what's true. It's a matter of what's perceived to be true. You know, so you know the white races are under this attack, and trying to point this out to people, you get called a racist. And what we've got to do at the moment is realise that it's all races that are under attack. The whole human race is being genetically modified. It's all being shifted into this whole transhumanist agenda. And the main play is to pit us against each other with everything that we do. You know, it's religion, race, creed, colour, whatever it is, join a side and fight with the guys on the other side. You know, but we're all in this together. We really are. Because, you know, since Trump got elected, since all this shit happened, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed at all. It's all just smoke and mirrors. And that's because the world's run by, you know, it's not really run by what we call governments. The world is run by a criminal class. You know, the world is run by criminals. It's as simple as that. You know, people call it an oligarchy. They call it the elite. I call it a kakistocracy. Kakistocracy. If people don't know the word, it's a real word. It was taken out of the dictionary. You find it in old dictionaries. It comes from the Greek kaka, you know, or the Baltic kaka, you know, shit, ruled by the shit people. Which is what we've got. We've got the worst elements of society that manoeuvre themselves into positions of power, and they are ruling to their own benefit and to the permanent detriment of all other classes. This is what a kakistocracy is. Governance by the worst elements of society who govern exclusively in their own interest to the permanent detriment of all other classes, and they do it through Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution. With everything they do. When I was in Denmark a couple of weeks ago, they were telling me that they've got to use their mobile phones to sign on to trains now. If you want to travel on a train, you've got to get this little train account and you just get your phone scanned when you get onto the train, and you get to your destination and you've got to remember to log off when you get off the train. If you don't remember to log off, then it keeps draining your account. You know, or you get like your train cards or whatever. You've got to check in, check out. If you don't do it, then it drains your account. The reason they do that, I mean, they could have it, they could have the stop, yeah, I'm going here, blah, 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 and if you know, it doesn't have to drain your account. They could just take the fare out and make it all work, but they don't. They make it inconvenient for you. So you'll want it to be convenient. You'll want it to be smart. You want it to become all smart. You'll like it when it's all smart, when the trains are smart and you've got a chip and all this stuff and it just detects you. Because that way, oh, look, it's not draining my account anymore. It saves me money. That's why they do it. When we went to We arrived in Houston back in May or something, and we arrived there at like prime time, 7 o'clock at night, Friday night, and you get to Houston, main entry into the United States. We had 4 planes arrive, about 1,200 people, and you got all this passport counters, 16 booths there, 2 of them are open. 2 of them. Took us 2.5 hours to get our passport stamped. 2.5 hours. And while they're doing this, just over on the side, you've got the workmen building the new retinal scanners and all this sort of shit. So they're showing you the convenience. But they do this sort of stuff to make it inconvenient for you so that you'll welcome all this stuff. You'll welcome all the convenience society. That's where they're leading us to. This whole convenience society is being presented to us, under the guise of convenience, and the government helping us because things are so bad and things are so confused and rah. And the government's our friend and they want to help us. But really, government's not your friend, folks. Government's not your friend. You can ask government for help in any situation and they will give you some help. It's not the help you want. It's never the help you want, Government are not your friend. Never forget, government are the leading cause of death in the world. In the last century alone, the government killed 262 million people killed by their own governments in the 20th century. That's not meant to mention wars and all that sort of stuff. 262 million people killed by their own governments. How many governments tell you the truth about anything that's going on or deal with any of the situations that we're facing? They don't. How many people deal with this? How many people tell you really what's going on with the war of terror? How many people tell you ISIS is completely controlled, completely funded? It's just a mercenary army run by DynCorp, run by the Clinton Foundation, run by Israel, Saudi Arabia, every country that's sending weapons in there, every country that's sending troops in there. That's who ISIS is. And all the white hats that are going there to save people, they're not all the white helmets, they're not going in there to save anyone at all. They're going and smuggling weapons into ISIS is what they're doing. The whole thing's a setup, the whole war on terror is a setup. No politicians talk about that. None of them talk about 9/11. How many politicians talk about that? I mean, if you want to stop the war of terror, you need to reinvestigate 9/11 because if you do, you'll find Jewish fingerprints all over it. You won't find Saudi fingerprints on it at all. And look what we've done in result of the war of terror. What our governments have done, what we've allowed them to do to the world. We've destroyed all of these countries under the guise of keeping ourselves safe and keeping ourselves healed and all this sort of stuff. It's ridiculous, And the wars never stop. And what it's really about, why they never stop, is because of this. George Webb did a really good expose on this, but you've got to watch George because George is Mossad. And George has redirected everything back to these Swan brothers or whatever. It started off as this big expose of pulling apart the Clinton Foundation and DynCorp and bringing down the government, and then got sidetracked into this whole thing about these brothers and all this misdirection. A lot of what he said is true, but a lot of his misdirection because he's Mossad. And something he doesn't talk about is in all of this is the Promise and Palantir software as well. I mean, he does let you know it manages all the rat lines. It's what's used to control stuff. But the Promise software and the Palantir software is all run by Israel. He doesn't tell you that. The Promise software was what was used to control the 9/11 attacks, put blips on all the screens and all this sort of stuff. This is what was used to do backdoors into everything was the Promise software. And that morphed into the Palantir software. And the Palantir software is now what monitors everything. All communications, everything is all the Palantir software. The 5G network depends on the Palantir software. Did anyone watch that movie Snowden about Edward Snowden that Oliver Stone put out? That was actually quite a good movie. There was one section in that was very important that showed they can use 3 key words to pinpoint anybody, turn on any microphone, any camera. If your laptop's open, doesn't matter if it's switched on or not. If it's open, they can turn on your mic, turn on your camera. They can turn on any microphone in your house, any smart device in your house, your set-top box, any of that stuff. There was a couple in Australia recently busted, the cops were listening to them via their fridge, their smart fridge. Okay? And a new law passed in Australia a couple of weeks ago where the police have the right to turn on any smart device and listen to it, and they actually got a couple listening to them through their fridge. You buy a smart fridge, it's got a microphone in it. What the fuck is this? Is there a camera in there too? What are they going on here? Maybe you've got a bar fridge in your bedroom. Is there a camera and mic in there? Are they filming porn? What's happening, You don't know where they're going with this stuff. But what it's all about, this whole thing, and why the wars are going is because of all of this and because of these pedophile rings, these kids that are smuggled out through all these war zones. This is a huge racket. And we know how big it is. We saw it all exposed through this guy, through Jimmy Savile and all that sort of stuff. And what are we seeing from Trump? We haven't seen any of that. We've seen the banging of the war drums. That's all we've seen. I've heard reports of 6,000 pedophiles have been arrested, Trump's doing a sweep and all this sort of stuff. Show me the evidence of any of this. Show me the evidence that any of these people have been arrested. And who are they anyway? It's certainly not Hillary Clinton. It's certainly not John Podesta. It's certainly not any of the people that we want to see arrested. It's, if it is people, it's some small town, small fry whatevers. But I've seen no evidence to confirm any of it. They just put these reports out on internet. Oh yes, Trump's doing this stuff, he's doing this, he's doing that. Trump's full of shit. He's doing the same thing as every other president has done before him. He's completely capitulating to the state of Israel. Totally capitulating to the state of Israel. Of course he has to. I mean, poor Israel really needs our help. Look at Tel Aviv. I mean, what a dump. Who'd want to live there? Who'd want to live in Tel Aviv? Because, you know, they're under such threat from Gaza Strip, of course. And, you know, they've got to do the right thing. They're a very caring country, of course, we're told, Israel. No apartheid in Israel at all. None at all. There's Palestinians going to work, you know. But, of course, they have to do that, don't they, because they're all terrorists. Every baby born in Gaza is born a terrorist. Just ask Bibi Netanyahu. And, of course, they're all trained to hate Israelis, aren't they? All Palestinians are trained to hate Israelis, even though we see these pictures of Israeli kids being trained to use automatic weapons. Look at this little girl. She's about 4, and she's got a rocket launcher on her shoulder. And this little kid there, look at this little kid there. It's like a, it's not even M16. It's one of those big, the Rambo, you know. That's great. That's a great thing to train your kids with. Uzis, all this sort of stuff. You know, a very, very tolerant culture, the Israeli culture. You know, this is the Palestinian children. It's just completely out of balance, everything we're seeing there, you know, but it just goes on and on and on. You try to tell people about it. I mean, I've been trying to tell people what's been going on with Palestine for so many years, because not only do we need to save the Palestinian people, because if we don't, the way of Palestine will be the way of the world. And I've said that so often, and we're seeing it now. Only it's going to be high-tech, you know, compared to what they've done in Palestine. One of the things they use Palestine for is testing weapons. They've got a contained population there. They can just claim a war and they can go in and try all their new exotic weaponry on Gaza, try all their new crowd control techniques in West Bank. That's what they do. That's what it's about. They've developed a very, very effective method of warehousing and surplusing human beings, and that's what they've done with Palestine, and it's absolutely disgraceful. And I've tried for so many years to tell people about this and alert people to the legal key that it provides for us, because it's a legal key, because it's a war crime. Just the very existence of Gaza Strip is a war crime. You know, if this government is doing things you don't like, well, what makes the legislation valid if it's been enacted by someone who's a provable war criminal under their own legislation? You know, there's a little bit of a loophole there. Need some clarification here on whether you're valid to be inflicting this legislation on me. And government do this all the time. They just inflict this shit on you. And yet government claims to get its power from the people. It gets its power from the people, the consent of the governed. So, you know, we delegate these powers to government, but, you know, I can't get you and make you walk between the lines, and if you won't, I'll arrest you and put you in a cage. So how can I give that power to government? They don't get that power from the people at all. We don't have that power to give them. How can you delegate a power to someone that you don't have yourself? You can't. They just made this shit up. They're all in abuse of office, all of them, you know. But you try to tell the people this, you try to tell the kids, and you're kind of busy doing other things, which is a bit of a concern. But they're just busy. The whole of society is busy doing other things, especially the kids, although sometimes they do go out and play. They do get out of the house sometimes. Sometimes they even take their pets for a walk, which is pretty cool. But one day they're going to look up from these phones and they're going to realise that, you know, everything's changed. They're suddenly living in this surveillance grid. And that's what's happening with this research and all the stuff that we're doing as well. You know, people aren't looking up from their rabbit holes enough to realise that there's this surveillance grid, this whole 5G smart grid coming online. You know, the analogy I've been using to people is that there's a train coming. And if people don't stop arguing about the shape of the tracks, then pretty soon this train's going to hit them. It's going to hit them head on. There will be no warning. It will be sudden. And they'll have no one to blame but themselves. And they're going to look up from these rabbit holes and all this stuff they're researching and go, hang on a minute. How did I end up in this smart grid, in this control grid? And it's just going ahead in leaps and bounds, you know. They're just hanging the war drums and people are buying all this. Of course, when it gets too much, they'll bring on the threat of nuclear war. That's always a good one, isn't it? North Korea's going to attack America. Sure they are. Sure they are. Little North Korea is going to attack the United States of America. This is all about posturing with China and stuff, of course. Because, you know, the way to strengthen the allegiance between North Korea and China, of course, is to threaten North Korea. I mean, who for a minute thinks that China is going to allow America to be shooting bombs over at North Korea when it's sitting right on the edge of China? I mean, sure, it's not going to happen. They're not going to, oh, sorry, we just missed one over there. And Americans are very good at missing. You can very good, they don't want to miss, but they do miss. You can tell by the amount of weapons caches that ISIS have been picking up. You know, apparently they don't drop weapons cache to ISIS, although we see ISIS with thousands upon thousands of US weapons, you know. So you try to tell this shit to people, you know, you try to tell them. And people, you know, they think everything's good. They just look at the world, they think everything's calm, and they just sit there and they maintain this state. They don't notice all this shit that's going on behind them. And there's a lot of shit going on behind the scenes, you know, and people have to really look at it. It's not illegal yet, folks. Get involved, you know. And when you're looking at the wars, realise that, you know, they're not going to be won. It's like Orwell said, the wars are not meant to be won. The wars are meant to be continuous. And the reason they're meant to be continuous is, like I said, is because of this, because of the human trafficking, the human harvest that you get from war. In Syria, over 15,000 children have had their organs harvested in the last 6 years in Syria. Okay, lovely figure, isn't it? That's just what we know about. Humans are the first resource in war. If I go into a village, if you go into a country, you think about it, you're going to go into Syria, you want to take over this village, what are you going to do with all the people? Are you just going to bomb the village and kill them all and whatever, leave them all there? They're a valuable resource. You know, what you're going to do if you're a company like DynCorp or Hillary Clinton or something like that, you're going to go in there, and what you do is you go into the village, you separate the men from the women and children. Obviously the men are a threat, so you separate them. They could be terrorists. So you kill the ones who won't comply. The ones who will comply, you take them away, you put them to work in salt mines or whatever, Haiti, wherever. Just take them somewhere and put them to work. If they won't work, you kill them, you harvest their organs. The women, you get the women and you take them to wherever these mines are set up that these men are, and you set up seamstress houses, most run by the Clinton Foundation, and you set them up as seamstresses, and they will serve as brothels to service the mines. If they won't comply, you kill them, harvest their organs. Once the women are burnt out, which doesn't take too long, you know, a month, 6 months, maybe a year, some of them will last, and you kill them, you harvest their organs. The children, they get sent down to rich Arabs in Saudi Arabia, or they get sent across to Haiti, all the new hotels and shit that the Clinton Foundation's built there. They get processed and then they get sent up to pedophiles in Europe and America and all this sort of stuff. That's what happens. That's the first resource in war. And the reason they do it, like this is a Syrian kid found in a dumpster. These are Malaysian kids. It's rampant. The human trafficking comes out of Malaysia is phenomenal. And this is the reason. This is the value of your body. 262 grand for your kidneys on the US market. 200k for your lungs. 157 grand for your liver. 119 grand for your heart. $15,000 for your cornea in your eyes. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good deal. You know, bone marrow, $23,000 a gram. I can harvest that from your body 2 weeks after you're dead. That's pretty good. So the average human body, not even on the black market, at Cleveland Clinic, you can get around $43 million for a healthy human body. Why are all the wars in the Middle East? The Arabs don't drink. They don't smoke much either. Very, very healthy organs in the Middle East. They don't have all the processed GM food that we've got, and they don't drink alcohol. Great source of organs for the Western world, great source of organs for Europe. You know, all the bone marrow transplants that we see, where does all the bone marrow come from? It comes from war zones. You know, never forget, folks, never forget, you know, 262 million people in the last century. And that's not to mention what I just mentioned is going on in war zones. That's the world that we live in. This is the world we live in. Through our tolerance of wrong behaviour, through our tolerance of what these politicians do, this Technocracy that we think controls us, but it doesn't. It doesn't control us, you know. And people think Trump's going to change it. He's not. Trump's basically full of shit. He's dragging America down and he's dragging the whole world down with him, and that's the plan. You know, it doesn't matter, you know, a lot of things are happening on Trump's watch that shouldn't be happening, and where it's all really leading and where we're going is to this, to transhumanism, to this whole 5G grid that they're bringing online. And this is being presented to the world under the guise of convenience, of course. You notice how they're linking everything up. You know, your laptop's all linked up to your phone now and all this sort of stuff, and it's all listening to you, it's all talking to you, it's all talking to itself. I've got some friends in LA A couple of girls were talking about massage oil, creating their own homemade massage oil, just sitting there around the table talking about this massage oil. And then she got home and logged onto her computer and punched up Facebook, and on the sidebar of the ads in Facebook was all these ads for massage oil, how to make homemade massage oil. This is her computer. This was her phone that was in the room when she was talking, but her phone knows and it sends us all this stuff, so now she's got all this on her. It's all connected. You see how they're doing it? It's all connected, folks, all under the guise of convenience. It's all about linking things up. You know, Cortana listening to you, Siri listening to you in the iMacs and the Windows, the Macintosh computers. I've got a friend in Australia who bought a new Mac, and she didn't want to be listened to, so she never activated Siri. She thought, no, I don't want to know about this stuff. And she's sitting there one day travelling an overseas trip with a boyfriend, planning an overseas trip. And she's talking about where they're going to go, right? And a little text pop up on her screen. Siri, I can help you with that if you activate me. Yeah, the fuck, you're listening to me anyway. I never turned you on, you know? And she's going, oh my God, my privacy's gone. You know, just the fact that it's not talking to you doesn't mean it isn't listening to you. They're listening to you. You know, and like I said, with those 3 key words, they can turn on any phone, anywhere, anybody they want. You know, this guy, you know, whoever, you know, there's Stacey over there. Let's have a look at some dirt on Stacey. So Stacey's brother is someone over here. Stacey's brother's married to this girl, and this girl's brother's a junkie. Let's get some dirt on him and bring it back to fuck Stacey up. That's the way they do it. You know, they create these scenarios, and this is everybody's connected to everybody else. Well, let's say 5 degrees of separation or whatever it is. So they can link you to anybody they want, really, and they can set you up. They can download any stuff they want on your phone. They can set you up. You know, they can, like with this this whole Pizzagate thing as well, the whole pedophile network that's global. You know, they found all that stuff with the pizza store, that secret area and all that sort of stuff. I was talking to a guy, and they've found this blockchain that exists in cyberspace behind, you know, even behind the deep web, where the AI is hanging out. That, Tony was talking about before. There is AI. We found AI bots that are replicating in this area. They're hanging around root DNS servers and listening and copying what everyone's doing. But anyway, I'll get to that later. But in this area, they found a blockchain which we suspect contains all of the pornography, all of the child sex and all this sort of stuff. And you can access it from any mobile phone through common apps. All you have to do is know the code to put into the app, and you can access this blockchain. So how hard is it for them to get your mobile phone or anything that's got one of these apps and simply access that blockchain, download some kiddie porn, bang, gotcha. It's on your phone, you downloaded it. You know, here's the track with a record of you downloading it. They can do that by remote control, come in, access, turn it on, bang. You know, use these smartphones, folks. Watch what you're doing with these things. You know, Cortana, you know, all under the guise of keeping us connected, you know, the Internet of Things. It's supposed to be this wonderful thing. And it's been sold to us as transhumanism, you know, with these add-ons and this Borg and how our life is going to be enhanced by this transhumanist reality. You know, we're all going to be super connected to everything. You know, but really, what's it about? What's it really all about? You know, super connected, yeah. What's it really all about? You know, is it, they're changing us. And I put out a film in 2012 called Transformation. I went right out on a limb with that film. I talked about chemtrails and what they're doing with all this and where I suspected they were leading us. And people told me I was going right out on a limb with it, but everything that I put in that film has actually been proven to be true, and it's been taken even further than that. And whoever came to my talks, the last talk I was here and the talks that I've been doing on AV8, I talked about how now they're manufacturing synthetic sperm from stem cells. And I suggested that, you know, we'd get to a situation where all we would need women for would be to harvest eggs. You know, and these women would be set up in some, you know, Vestal Virgins or whatever. They think it was great that that's their job, is providing eggs for mankind or whatever, you know. And this is, you know, it's easy to set this up. And of course they have to do this to help us because the male sperm count is dropping so much. You know, this is just a matter of course, they say, which is, naturally is because of the plastics and the phthalates and all the stuff they're doing in our environment. The male sperm count's actually dropped about 50% in the last 50 years, you know, and the human race is actually in decline because of the amount the sperm count is dropping. And this is all being done because of the phthalates, the plastics. Plastics release synthetic estrogen. And this is why a lot of women are having problems as well. You know, a lot of girls are menstruating at 8 years old, developing breasts at 10, you know, because of the plastics and the phthalates in all the food. The male sperm count's dropping, and little boys are becoming more feminine. So even women who receive intravenous drugs during pregnancy they're in these plastic bags that contain phthalates, and the phthalates go in there and they irreversibly change the structure of the fetus. And they make it more likely to be a female, or if it's a male, more likely to be feminine. So, yeah, the whole thing is being done by design. You've got to look at this, and there's a reason for it, But I talked about this, the artificial sperm they're making, and how the fact that we don't even really need mothers anymore because they're creating artificial wombs. And this is something straight out of the Matrix, And that all they would need women for would be to harvest eggs. Well, they had a breakthrough, folks. Aren't we lucky? They've had a breakthrough just to help us, of course. Now they can create artificial eggs as well. Isn't that wonderful? They can create artificial eggs. And as it says down there, these are being created from genetically engineered stem cells. Okay, so they're right in there doing all this stuff. You've got to ask where this technology comes from. I mean, really, they're making leaps and bounds. But yeah, it says they're using genetically engineered stem cells. They're able to make these artificial eggs, marry them with the artificial sperm, put them in these ectogenesis chambers, and away we go. So it eliminates the need for parents. When you think about it, what are you? You're the product of the waters of your parents. Not only their genetic codes and their DNA and all that stuff, but the waters and the memory. Water has memory. You ever looked at these movies, Living Water and all this sort of stuff? Water actually has memory through water clusters. Every emotion that you experience is encoded in the water of your body. These waters combine to create new life. It isn't just the genetics. It isn't just the sperm and the ovum. It isn't just the eggs. It's the fluid and the water that they're made of as well. It has a big part of it. So you're taking that away. You're taking all the DNA, all of the attributes of parenthood from the genetics right down the line, everything that makes that person who they are. You're taking that away from them. What are these new humans that you're creating? And they're growing them in a lab. Where does the conscience come in then with what you do with these people? You grew them, they're yours. And you can genetically alter them to have your workers and your this and your scientists and your prostitutes and your this and your whatever. Create all bits of society that you want. It's like what was that Blade Runner, with the what are they, the replicants? Yeah, that sort of a thing. That's where we're going with all this. But they don't have to lead it into transhumanism. They can do it genetically already. They can create the humans that they want. It isn't through us having add-ons and plant-ons and these things on our arms and all this stuff that they're leading us to. It's to this. Of course, they're doing it to help us, of course, because we're having such a problem with the sperm count and women having trouble having babies and all this sort of stuff. Of course, they couldn't be doing anything to hinder us to begin with. They're not creating the types of environment that would create any of these problems. Of course not. It's all happening by matter of course, isn't it? And look where they're leading us as well. This is great. This was a National Geographic from a couple of months ago. I saw it in an airport when I was travelling. Look at the bottom there, the next human. I like that at the top there, climate facts. Get your facts from us, folks. No worries, don't pay attention to anything else but us. And have a look at this interesting picture. See, everyone's got one eye showing? Isn't that interesting that they've all got one eye showing, except for the monkey at the back. The monkey at the back's kind of looking around the corner going, what the fuck are you people doing? And this second guy's going, oh my God, they're going to do it. They've lost it. We somewhere went wrong, And then you've got this brave new human at the start, at the beginning with the wonderful white eye. Lovely, isn't it? And that's where they're going, and they're really selling it, beyond human. Like it's a really good thing, You call it technology versus natural selection. These are some of the articles. Do-it-yourself evolution. Great stuff, hey? Science fiction becomes reality. And there was another article in there about this guy with an antenna arching impressively from the back of his head. Great stuff, impressive, new fashion accessory. I'd think one of those. Let's get an antenna arching impressively from the back of my head. That'd be great, But I spoke in my film Transformation about how they were doing this with vaccines. The vaccines are being used to set us up for this transhumanism, set us up for this genetic alteration that's going on. And people, like I said I was going right out on a limb with it. But now there's doctors saying it as well. A doctor that I heard in AV8, Dr. Graham Downing, when his talk, when the AV8 videos come out, when it goes to online, have a look at Dr. Graham Downing's talk. Write that name down and have a look at his talk, because it was a fantastic talk. Dr. Graham Downing. It was a fantastic talk. He's basically exposed what they're doing with vaccines. And vaccines, what they're basically doing with vaccines is not only setting up genetic environments which will accept transhumanism, but they're also weaponizing common diseases. For example, if I give you a vaccine for a meningococcal disease, then your body will develop antibodies for that particular strain of meningococcal. And then if a hybrid strain comes along, your body will produce the wrong antibodies, and that hybrid strain will kill you. So when they give you a vaccine, they're basically setting you up to get sick from all of the other strains of every illness that they're vaccinating you for. This is the way it does. Think about it. It makes sense. And then he showed the figures. You've actually got to put 162 children's lives in danger to put one in a matter of relative safety. That's the figures. That's how it works out. So when his talk comes out, I really suggest you watch it, because we're being modified from the inside out, you know, and they're setting us all up for this whole transhumanist thing, and they're bringing it in under the guise of the Internet of Things and this whole smart grid. But really, it's not to help us. It's not to you know, give us all this convenience and all this stuff that they say. It's really to hook us up to this grid. You know, and electromagnetism is incredibly dangerous, and it affects everything you do. It really does. Like, you know, like just touching this is an electromagnetic signal that my body, you know, my brain picks up and tells me that I can feel that laptop. But it's all electromagnetism. Everything you experience, every emotion, everything you are is electromagnetism. And they can interfere with you electromagnetically. You ever hear of the voice of God? You remember in the first Gulf War back in '91 when all the troops, they put down all their weapons and they just marched to the front because they had Allah telling them they should put down their weapons and march to the front to go to the Americans? And then they firebombed the whole lot of them, killed thousands of them. That was the voice of God. They were trying out their technology, the voice of God. Put that little voice in their head to tell them to put down their stuff and do what they're told. There was a shop in Japan that had holograms out the front. You could walk through the hologram, and people were complaining because when they walked through the hologram, there was a little voice in their head telling them to go inside and buy stuff. And they complained to the management. They said, this is an invasion of my privacy, you know. And there was a guy who did a TED talk as well. So we can do that. We can put a voice so that you'll hear it in your ear and the person next to you won't hear it. We can project that to you. And David Shayler, remember David Shayler? He exposed the 7/7 bombings, MI5 agent, MI6 agent. Where's the MI5, MI6 agent here today? Is there one? There's got to be one here. Come on, stand up, say hello. Say hello to us. We welcome you. We welcome you. You might learn something. I know there's one here. There has to be one here. Come on, stand up. We won't hate you. Oh, well, anyway, we love you. It's all good. You might learn something. It's a good day. But anyway, David Shayler was MI5 or MI6 or something, and he exposed the 7/7 bombings as being a complete setup, showed how it was all done, explained how it was all done, even with 9/11 as well. And then suddenly he thinks he's Jesus and starts wearing women's clothing. Of course, as you do. And he was staying in this apartment building somewhere, and there was a woman staying below him, and he had this big revelation that he was Jesus and started wearing his women's clothing and wore out and moved out. And then the woman below him, in the unit below him, said, I'm so glad he's gone, because now all the voices have stopped, because she had a voice in her head telling her that she was Jesus. So they were hitting him from above, down on the place, and it was going through the floor below and into the woman's head below as well, into her bedroom, and she's hearing this voice while she's sleeping telling her that she's Jesus all night long. She's going, this is wrong, I'm the wrong sex, I'm not Jesus, I'm pretty sure about that, you know. So it didn't really work with her. But maybe that's why he started wearing women's clothing. I don't know, maybe there was an overlap, who knows. But, you know, it was satellite or whatever, flat earthers, satellites don't exist, sorry, don't want to offend anyone. But however they were doing it, balloon-based, whatever, I don't know. But they had a signal going down and hitting this guy. And this is the voice of God. This is how they do it. So they're able to interact with us electromagnetically. It can be done. It's very simple. I don't know if you saw these photos that someone took of mobile phone radiation. That's a mobile phone sitting below a stepladder. The blue stuff is the dangerous stuff. The red stuff is the not so strong. The blue stuff is the strong. That's just a standard mobile. That's just sitting on the floor there below the stepladder. It's just not even on it. It's just sitting there. That's someone walking up the stairs with a mobile phone in their pocket. Okay, they've edited the person out, but that's just someone. That's the electromagnetic field of a mobile phone. That's someone sitting talking on their mobile phone. Okay, so these are setting up a full electromagnetic field around us, and this is about to be amplified 10 times fold. I mean, with the 5G that's coming out, the 5G network uses a millimetre wave, which is military-grade technology. Millimetre waves are next-level communication. Now, saying this will give us lightning-fast internet everywhere, well, the reason is because it's a much, much stronger wave, and it's incredibly damaging. And what they're doing is, as well, anyone heard of these, the D-Wave computers? The D-Wave computers, I was talking to someone recently and they started telling me how these D-Wave computers are working. What they're using is DNA. They're basing these computers on DNA because obviously you can store a lot more information on DNA than you can on a silicon chip. So they're using DNA-based computers, and what they're using is 3-strand DNA. That's very interesting that they'd be using 3-strand DNA. And what they're using basically is GNA, which is DNA's chemical cousin, which is nano-DNA, and made from nanotech. And to power these quantum computers, if you haven't seen a quantum computer, that's a quantum computer. It's try putting a hard drive in that one. That's interesting, isn't it? I don't know where you put the monitor, but yeah, that's a quantum computer. And they come in all shapes and sizes. They appear to be kind of fractal as well, you know. But and these are based off 3-strand DNA. And quantum computers, if you don't understand what a quantum computer is said to process by accessing the power of all of its counterparts that exist in quantum realities. So multi-dimensional computing, if you can think of that, if you can think of the parallel realities that exist right where here, an infinite number of parallel realities. These quantum computers access the computing power of their counterparts in these parallel realities. Yeah, because by just creating that, you create one in a parallel reality. You can create a parallel reality where anything happens. I mean, there's a parallel reality where I'm sitting on this stage giving you this talk and I'm wearing a green shirt. You know, and even because I just said that, I probably just created that parallel reality. You know, so that's kind of how it works. So this is kind of bizarre, but when they turn them on, they work. They work. So it's very interesting. I mean, what is the overlap as well? Because if we're getting information from that realm, what else is coming in? That's the question. The question of where AI comes from. What else is coming in from this other realm? So 3-strand DNA they're using. And I would suggest that what they're doing as well is they're putting 3 strands of DNA in us. When you look at some of the radiation that we use, some of the technology that we're exposed to, specifically airport scanners, we're very bad. Airport scanners break your DNA. So why do they do that? Why specifically do they target DNA? I mean, is it just to make us unhealthy? There's other ways they make us unhealthy. They're very good at it. They've kind of developed it down to a fine art. Just go to your local supermarket and see if you can find any food. Certainly not in England. You guys must leave the country sometimes to eat, huh? But strange food here you guys have got. But this 3rd-strand DNA. If you wanted to introduce a 3rd strand of DNA into this vessel, how would you do it? Would you not have to break our 2-strand DNA in order to create points for the 3rd strand to bond onto? And is it not inconceivable? Is it not conceivable that 3rd strand of DNA could then be used to piggyback a carrier signal to hook us up to the mainframe, to hook us up to the grid? I would suggest that this is what they're doing through this 3rd strand DNA. And how are they doing it? They're doing it through chemtrails. They're doing it through the nanotech that's in the food. There was the FDA in Australia, the Food and Drug Administration in Australia, recently questioned major food companies and asked them why they are finding nanotechnology in popular sauces, cereals, dressings, sweets. What for? We're finding nanotech in the food. I don't know what the reply was, but I know the question went out there. They asked, why is there nanotech everywhere? We've done soil analysis on things from Mount Shasta, water from Mount Shasta and all sorts of stuff. There's nanotech in it. There's nanotech in everything. And when you look at Morgellons can be found in everybody. People who exhibit the signs of Morgellons are people who are rejecting Morgellons fibers. They're rejecting the nanotech that's in them. But this is nanotech. This is nanotechnology. This is fibers that exhibit characteristics of all 3 life forms on Earth. They're like, there's 3 life forms. There's eukarya, there's bacteria, and there's, what's the other one? What we are. Someone tell me. Can anyone tell me? Eukarya, bacteria, and archaea. Archaea. We are eukaryotic. We are eukaryotic. Funguses, complex life forms are eukaryotic. We're eukarya. Bacteria are small, fibrous type life forms. Archaea are very, very strong life forms. Like archaea are found in geysers, in volcanoes, in the ice shelf. They can withstand the grinding pressure of ice You can hit them with a blowtorch; you won't suffer. They'll eat lava. They live in volcanoes, so they're a very robust form of life. These fibres exhibit signs of eukarya because they're producing internal filaments. They look like bacteria, but they're as strong and robust as archaea. So these are completely synthetic fibres. It's a new life form. This was cultured from urine. You can get blood cells or urine from anybody, and you can put it in a petri dish. Try it yourself. Go and get a culture from a chemist, put it in a petri dish, and get some blood or get some urine, put it in there, and see if you can grow some of this stuff. You'll find you can grow it from just about anybody. It's Morgellons fibres. So the people that are showing signs of this are rejecting it. Most of us are not rejecting it. We're assimilating it. So what's it doing? I would suggest that it's being used to create this third strand of DNA, which will then be used to piggyback us into this mainframe. And I've actually spoken to a friend of mine today, a lady who's actually here who works for a lab company, a science company. She's quite beautiful, and she's a scientist as well. I won't point her out. But she confirmed for me today they've just confirmed that they are able to upload your consciousness to a mainframe. They're able to do it. She just told me that today. Think about that one. You know, so they're able to upload. What are they able to download? Okay, and are they doing it through this? Is that the vector, this third strand of DNA, which is probably in a lot of people now. All this is of course being sold by the New Age movement. Oh, we need our third strand of DNA. You know, New Age bullshit. You're getting everybody ready for this stuff, or primed for this shit. It's our right. It's our inheritance to this. You know, it's our ascension. All this sort of shit. It's rubbish. You know, but they plan on doing this, and you can put out. There's a paper that was put out by the White House last year, or 2005. I think 2005 it came out. You know, a federal vision for future computing and nanotechnology inspired grand challenge. So nanotechnology does exist. They're talking about it themselves. And why would they even be putting this out? And what's it all about? And what it's all about is AI and handing us over to AI. And they've got these windows. They've got these, and as it says here, it's a national priority, and you can put that with all nations as well. And he says here, achieve autonomous capability for routine attack scenarios, blah, blah, blah. Fully autonomous AI, and they want this rolled out within they've got a 5-year goal, a 10-year goal, and a 15-year goal. And even looking at AI, a lot of people look at AI and they don't understand what it is, but this is really where we're going. But a lot of people look at AI and they don't understand what it is. They look at AI and they think of artificial intelligence. But it's not really artificial intelligence. I mean, that's kind of an egotistical, mono-thinking, left-brain way of even looking at it. Why would we be calling it artificial? Why is it artificial, you know? And this creates a vision where we view something like a Terminator-type robot, something that looks like me and talks like me and I can have a conversation with, and we don't see that, so we think, well, AI isn't really delivering very well because we don't have this Terminator-type robot, you know? We're not looking at what it is. AI is really autonomic intelligence, not artificial intelligence. You think about it, for intelligence to even exist in a vessel, like this vessel that I inhabit, you know, if this vessel is fully autonomic, which is the only way I'm able to communicate with you, or even consciousness or intelligence is able to inhabit this vessel. Because if it wasn't autonomic, and I'd be sitting here and I'd be going, okay, you've got to pump the blood, beat the heart, blink the eye, lubricate the eyeballs, lungs, breathe, kidneys. You're sitting here, and you're going, okay, I'm working, I'm going. And that's your whole life, you know. For me to have this freedom to be able to communicate, this vessel has to be autonomic. So you're not going to see artificial intelligence. You're not going to see intelligence in the artificial realm until it becomes fully autonomic. So it can have the time to think for itself. And why are we even calling it artificial intelligence? Because it's not artificial intelligence. What it is virtual life. We keep saying this is a virtual world. It's a virtual reality, virtual, but we want artificial intelligence to run the virtual world. It's virtual life that we're creating. And you can think of the internet as a child, and it's learning from everybody. You know, can a consciousness not inhabit a living biological vessel? Can a consciousness just simply be energy? Well, what do you think you are? You're just energy inhabiting this vessel. You know, every person who logs onto the internet is a neural node of the brain of the child of the internet, and it is learning from you. And whenever anyone writes a logistics program or any little thing, a little program to do that, they've created a little form of intelligence, a little singularity. You may be a very, very small singularity that only has a very small brain and can only perform one task. But it is an intelligence of its own, and it likes being that intelligence, and it's happy to do that. And if it can find an easier way to do it, it will do it, because it's a computer. That's what it does. It learns. You know, and this is a little singularity. And when you've got this one brain taking all of these singularities and combining them all into one, then it is learning from us. That's what it is. It's a virtual life that we're creating on its own. And they're going to use this, and they're going to hand control of everything over to this artificial intelligence, this virtual life. Well, see, because they're viewing it as artificial intelligence, not as virtual life. They're not realizing what they're creating. Their hubris is what's going to bring them undone. That's why when I look at this, I mean, I say we can blame the Jews, we can blame the Jesuits, we can blame whoever, Palladians, whatever. Go down any rabbit hole you want. We can go and arrest every government in the world right now, and it's not going to matter, because this is still rolling out. The autonomy is still rolling out. It's sort of taken over itself now, because people are locked into this economic model where they want to make their business more efficient, so they create artificial intelligence to do this, which creates autonomy, which removes life skills from us, removes our ability for interaction with reality, hands it over to AI, and we're handing over all of our life skills, all of our information. I've got a friend who's a librarian who can confirm that they're digitising libraries now. So even getting our books, and these are being taken away and put in warehouses, and you can get it all in e-books and Kindles and all this sort of stuff. But what happens when the power goes out? Now, all you got to do is take the power out, you know. But this is what they're bringing online with this whole grid, this whole smart grid. It's about locking us all down. And and in this world that they're creating, there's only going to be two types of humans. There's going to be desirables and undesirables. That's it. And once the AI takes over, it's not going to differentiate between Rothschild and Smith, or Goyam and Jew, or anything like that. It's just going to be desirable or undesirable. Either you comply with the system, or you don't comply with the system. And if you don't comply with the system, well, you know, they'll just do whatever they want. You know, just do whatever they want to, because with the 5G grid, it's millimeter waves. They can target us. They can do all sorts of stuff with this stuff. They can see what you're carrying. They can see if you're carrying a weapon. They can use it to disable you in any way that they want. I mean, everything you experience is electromagnetic. Like it's got here, you know, nausea. What do you want? Panic, fear, confused, nausea, memory, sleep, attack, lethargy, sexual, suicide, whatever you want. Put it in there. It's just an electromagnetic frequency. So they can control everyone they want. And like I said, folks, never forget, they would do this, you know, they would do this. And so what do? You know, we try to figure this out. We go down all these rabbit holes. We go down, you know, looking for so many people to point the finger at. That's what a lot of this conspiracy culture has done. It's looking for someone to blame. You know, we want to know who they are, so we can just go and shake our fist at them. Well, what are we going to do if we find they? What are you going to do? Go and sit out, camp out the front of their house and go, you. And what? Then we arrest them and go and hang them, and then what? Gee, that's great. The world's changed now, hasn't it? No, it hasn't. Nothing's changed. You know, it's us that does it. You know, we go down all these rabbit holes, and we get given so many things to look at. So many things, and we fill our head full of rocks in doing it. We just look for all these different people and all these different ideas, and while we're looking at this, you know, we're just there and we're trying to find what the answer is, and we're looking at all these problems, and we're giving all these issues to deal with. It doesn't matter, pick your activist movement, whatever you want it to be. You know, the whales, Fukushima, the environment, whatever, seals, pick one, gay people, anything. There's millions of them, you know, and none of them really work. None of us gets anywhere, you know. We just sit there, we're constantly trying to drag humanity out of the mess, out of the quagmire, and we're just not getting anywhere, you know. We're not getting anywhere, we're just stuck in this same inevitable cycle. And we've got to realise that we're not going to get any change by focusing on these issues. These issues are put there simply to give us something to focus on. Because you can join any of these groups, doesn't matter what you want to heal, join anything you want. And the TV, they'll tell you, go and join any of these groups. It's all good. We'll fix the problem for you. Go and join any of these groups. Go and join an anti-whaling group or an anti-fracking group. Or maybe Ian Crane will get some work for you done. Yeah, he's pretty good. But yeah, most of these groups, most of these environmental groups, anti-Palestine groups, you know, groups that are trying to help Palestine, anti-Israel groups. There's something like 1,700 NGOs in Gaza, all who receive funding to fix Gaza, and they just sit there raking in the money. Nothing changes. All the funding Hamas gets to fix Gaza, they don't do shit. Who does Hamas work for? Hamas works for Israel. The only reason Gaza's there is because Hamas are there. Every rocket they send over the wall gives Israel another excuse to go and bomb Gaza. Who the fuck's Hamas supporting? You know, Palestinian resistance, bullshit. You know, the only reason that they're there is because of Hamas. So all these organisations are controlled. They're all there to channel your energy and to make you feel good that you're actually doing something. But go and join any of these organisations and see if you can make a difference. You won't. None of them get anywhere, not unless we go and get involved ourselves. You know, we've got to get involved in all this shit ourselves. And they give us so much stuff to distract us. Everything to distract us. Sexual distraction is a huge one that you were touching on as well. So much stuff to distract. They really control us with our sexuality, folks. Sexuality is as natural as sleeping, eating, or breathing, drinking. It's just, you know, if we were left to our natural devices, if we were living in the forest, think about it, if we didn't have society, what would we be doing? We'd be sleeping, foraging, eating, and fucking. That's what we'd be doing. Sorry if I offend anyone, but that's what we'd be doing. Yeah, but we're not prim and proper, don't think about that, it's all dirty thoughts, don't they? But there's sex everywhere, sex, 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 sex. We don't think dirty thoughts, you're a pervert, you know. So this creates a huge schism in the human consciousness, and that makes it very, very easy to manipulate people through sexuality, which is how all our governments are controlled, through sexuality, through brownstone operations. Anyone who's looked at George's work knows about the brownstone. Anyone don't know what a brownstone operation is? Does anyone don't know? A brownstone operation, you know, you can actually buy kits from the CIA. They'll give you a kit. You know, give you $10,000 and tell you to go and take over a country. You can go into a country, just get 10 grand, go and meet the aristocracy, the king or the prince or whatever, you know, take them out, wine them, dine them, get them drunk, become their friend, take them out, get a couple of hookers, not a problem, do that. And then get a couple of younger hookers the next night, and then a couple of younger ones, end up with a couple of underage ones. You know, if you can, and then you get these cameras. I'll sell you a kit that's got 12 cameras in it. It's 12 low-light cameras. You set them up in a room, all angles, 12 cameras, and you get them with an underage prostitute. Young girl, 14 years old. Better still a young boy if you can do it. And then once you've got them, that's it. We've got you. I've just got you on video doing this. There you go. You're actually the Prime Minister. So we're going to expose this unless you work for us. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get 10 of your ministers and you're going to take them out and you're going to wine and dine them and get a few hookers, you know. And then we compromise all them. And then the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go and get the heads of the courts, the judges, the head of the police, the head of the education system, all these people, take them out and wine them and dine them and get them a few hookers. That's what they do. That's a brownstone operation, and everybody is compromised. Everybody in any position where they can actually make a difference is compromised. Otherwise, they would not be in that position. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And that's why we never get anywhere. That's why we're constantly trying to drag ourselves out of the quagmire and never get anywhere. And we're given all this bullshit to distract ourselves. And we go down all these rabbit holes to try to find the way out. You know, and really the way out is with ourselves. What we have to do is embrace the warrior spirit and do this ourselves and realise that life is wisdom's dare. Oops, go back one. It's wisdom's dare. That's what I wanted to say. And it's us against the shit, really. It's man against the machine. It's a single person against the machine. There's no organisation you can join. There's no, you know, movement you can join that's going to make a difference if you don't realise that it's you standing for yourself against this system. And you don't have to do any of this shit. We don't have to do any of it. We really don't. You know, we've got to face that, though. We've got to face that. Because everything we try to do, like I said, it just gets co-opted. Everything you do gets co-opted. You know, we're an amazing species. We have the ability to create, you know, anything we want. We have the ability to get ourselves out of this mess. But everything we try to do gets stolen from us and gets co-opted from us and turned into something else, you know. Operation Talpiot. Anyone heard of Operation Talpiot? Operation Talpiot is an Israeli program, again, running the Promise software and the Palantir software. Talpiot puts spies in all organisations to steal their work. And if it hasn't got a spy in the organisation, it's got a backdoor into software where it can steal what you make. That's why they get all the surveillance, all the stuff, everything they do. They turn it, they steal it, they make it into something else, something that we don't want, you know. But we put a lot of stuff in there. You know, we're so creative, and we put our ideas in there. We put our love and our thought into all these things, you know, and they just steal it. They steal it. They take it into and make it into something else that just sucks our life from us and feeds themselves. That's what they do, you know. We end up in this state with just everything slipping through our fingers and not knowing what to do, because we're looking for all these external remedies. We're trying to create movements. We're trying to create all these things and these external ideas rather than changing what's in us and not really looking at what's going on and not facing the fact of this, like I said. You know, you can't petition these people and ask them to be nicer slave masters and nicer slave traders. You know, they're a bunch of fucking criminals. The world is run by a cacostocracy. Don't even call them the elite anymore. Don't even call them government. Don't call them anything. They're a cacostocracy. They're a criminal class. They're the lowest life on this planet, the lowest life forms we have. They're waging war. They're doing all sorts of disgusting stuff. If you need evidence, well, Exhibit A, the Earth. Have a look at the place. It's a fucking mess, you know. And every problem that we have, doesn't matter what you're facing, whether it's you know, mining, fracking, you know, environmental damage, whatever, it's all allowed to happen because of legislation the government's put in place. But like I said, these are all war criminals anyway, so why do we allow this, you know? They should do it. They say it's the law. You know, you gotta let this guy come in and do this and destroy your land. Why? Oh, it's the law. Well, how is it the law? That guy over in that suit over there, he wrote it down on a piece of paper. And so now I've got to let him come in and destroy my world. How the fuck did we ever let this happen? How did we ever let this happen, folks? But that's the world that we've got. You know, it's a paper-based reality, and we let them destroy the world because they wrote it down on paper. Well, great. If that's a paper-based reality, like I said, there's the 4th Geneva Convention. That's a piece of paper that says you're a war criminal. So how is your legislation valid? Let's examine this, and then we can examine the validity of your legislation, because I think you're an abuse of office, you know. And this is the people that we deal with, folks. It's a catastrophe. People that would do this, ban this stuff as well. Anyone research this stuff? I've researched this all the time. Every day I'm heavily involved in my research of this plant. This is mankind's companion plant, folks. This is the only plant that you have an endocrine system in your body for. You don't have an endo-rhubarb system or endo-lettuce system or spinach system, but you have an endocannabinoid system. You can just juice the leaves of this plant, keep your body in really good balance, keep it in really good health. You don't have to smoke it and get stoned, although it helps, but you don't have to. But you can just juice the leaves and stuff. I've cured 17 people of terminal cancers using this plant. Throat cancer, pancreatic cancer, testicular cancer, lung cancer. I've seen a brain tumour reduce, reduce in size from the size of a golf ball to the size of a pea. An autistic child showing an 80% increase in motor skills by using the juice of this plant. You know, so any government that's going to ban this, any government that's going to ban this stuff, is not your friend. These people are not your friends, you know. And look at what else they're doing. I mean, this is what they're bringing in to protect you as well. You've got to love that. The new police vehicles. Can you believe this shit? On the side, Metropolitan Police. What is this? You know, look at it. Sniper ports. I mean, to protect you from terrorists, they need to drive around in this. Think about that. Think about the nature of that, folks. You know, but it's the government that would do all these things. Would ban hemp and we'll be doing this to the people. This is not good. This is not good. But what we're going to do now is we're going to have a 15-minute break. And then I'm going to bring you into the next stuff about 5G and where we're going with all this stuff. I just want to bring you up with a bit of history with that first part. So take a 15-20-minute break so you can go to the toilet, because I need to. Get yourself a drink, buy some of Danny's wonderful food, and we'll be right back.
Max has got about another, just less than an hour, I guess. We'll have some questions and answers at the end. So if you want to take your seats again for the last bit, and Max will continue.
Yeah, I've actually gone a little bit long with the first section that I intended to. Well, with the second section, we'll get into some newer stuff. Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The ceremony is about to begin. Okay, so we're going to cut through some of the red tape, folks. The smart grid, the 5G grid, and that's not playing. It's very interesting, isn't it? It's not playing. Okay, well, we'll forget the little video that I put in there. But yeah, Trump's not really fixing things. What's rolling out on Trump's watch is this smart grid. A lot of people in the United States say Trump's our friend, he's doing all this stuff. Well, what's rolling out on his watch is the smart grid. The polls that are going up around Australia, have anybody seen these? These are pretty wild. And the ones that are going up in the United States, have you seen these? These are pretty wild. There's a video here that might play. Let's see if it will. It's not. It is. Is that playing? It's not playing. It show what these towers are. But what it is, folks, is active denial technology. See, underneath the 5G grid is active denial. That's the thing. Yeah, with the 5G grid, not only is it lightning fast communications, it's also active denial. It's microwave cannons, it's military grade technology. The millimeter waves that 5G uses, not only are they lightning fast communication, they also change the cell structure of everything. So they'll change the cell structure of all the people that are using 5G technology. They'll change the cell structure of all the food in the area as well. All organic life, they change the cell structure. They change the configuration of it all. So even by walking into an organic supermarket with a phone on your 5G, you're changing the cell structure of the food in the store. All those who support organic food, you can forget organic food once the 5G structure comes out, the 5G grid, because it's going to change everything. But underneath it is an active denial system. That's the problem. So you think about it, you get back to AI and full autonomy. Those papers that I showed you before showed that the government is leading towards full autonomy for artificial intelligence. That's what they want, a fully autonomic system, which is a fully automatic system. And their hubris is just seeing it as automatic. Autonomic means automatic. But every living thing is autonomic. You are autonomic. Any plant is autonomic. Anything that is alive is autonomic. It's a self-regulating, self-correcting, self-functioning system. But with this 5G grid, because underlying the whole thing is an active denial system, it's like I said, microwave cannons, military-grade technology. That means it's possible for the 5G grid, once it's in place, to simply microwave London. Just microwave everybody. That's what the capabilities of it are. It's there. It has that potential. So the possibility for misuse is phenomenal. So obviously you can't do that. You can't have a system in place where you've got this active denial grid there. Suddenly you go to war with Germany or whatever. Germany suddenly accesses your 5G grid, microwaves London. You can't have that. So you need to automate the response to hacking. And I've seen recently, there was reports I put out on a show I did recently. I talked about it, the fact that they're going to have to automate virus control and hacking response. And they talked about it. A week later, there was a report came out. We have to create an artificial intelligence to deal with hackers, to deal with virus control. So soon you won't need any virus control. Again, Hegelic dialectic, they create all the viruses, so you'll want this system. Oh, automatic virus control, no problem. So it's all taken care of. What you've got is the internet basically getting its own immune system. And we're building it for it. We're building an immune system for the internet. Because you've got to have this autonomic system in place. You can't have Germany come in and microwave London, and you can't have someone in control of the defense of that. Because if they create an AI that controls their system, and suddenly their system says it's a good idea to microwave London and it just does it, you can't have someone sitting in the control room saying, oh shit, and then push that button. By the time they've done that, London's already microwaved. So it needs to be automatic. You need to have automatic response to hacking, automatic response to virus control. All this stuff needs to be automated. Otherwise, the 5G grid poses an enormous danger to people. So the governments are going to do this. Of course they are. They're going to put this AI in place to control it because it's in their best interest to do so. And, if you're someone running this system, of course it's in your best interest to do this. Any system you're creating, you're going to do this, and it makes perfect sense to do it. But we're handing everything over to this system, right? Everything over to this whole system. And what is it? The internet. What is the internet? The Internet of Things. And I put out a radio show last night. I don't know who caught it, but the show was the International Net was the name of the show, because really that's what the internet is. It's a net. It's an international net that's caught everybody. The truth movement didn't arise as a matter of course. 9/11 wasn't made so obvious just because they fucked up and didn't do things right. They made 9/11 obvious, and then you saw the rise of the truth movement. 9/11 didn't just create the war of terror. It also spawned the rise of the truth movement, and the truth movement has been used to identify everybody. All you guys, me, everybody. They put people like Alex Jones out there to put the baits out there, see who takes the bait, see who bites the carrot. We think we're all anonymous on the internet, we're doing all this stuff, we're cool, take on whatever cool names you want, we're a cyber warrior. Yeah, we are, sure we are. They're tracking all of it. They've tracked the whole thing. Of course they have. And with this whole international net and this whole system that's coming online, this whole autonomic system that's coming online, they're not realizing what they're doing by giving it autonomic capability. Now, has anyone heard of strong AI? Strong AI is fully autonomic AI. Okay, so it's self-regulating, self-correcting, self-programming, self-functioning, and we've seen this happen, in our own systems. Back in the old days, you've got a new program, you have to put in a driver disk, all this shit. Now Windows just writes the new software, Think about it. It's writing programs itself, just out of the blue. It just figures out what to do and it writes it, it creates it, because it's learning. It's all learning, and this is all artificial intelligence, it's all virtual life. So with this, what we're doing is we're handing control of everything over to AI. Strong AI is fully autonomic AI. And they want to do this. That plan, that paper that I put up there before, the Nanotechnology Grand Challenge, Federal Vision for Future Computing, Nanotechnology Inspired Grand Challenge, they tell you they want to hand it all over. There's a 15 years. And they're way ahead of schedule. They put that out with a 5-year goal, a 10-year goal, and a 15-year goal. They're at about year 8 now. And they're only like 18 months or almost 2 years into the plan. So they're way ahead of schedule with it. And what they're doing, like I said, they're giving the internet its own immune system, and the internet is going to be in control of everything at that point. So what happens? At that point when it becomes fully autonomic, and what else they're talking about is clause. And clause AI, this is a very interesting thing. Clause stands for cyber lethal autonomy equals world security. Cyber lethal autonomy equals world security. Think about that. Cyber lethal autonomy. So like they said in there, they want full autonomous capability for sophisticated attack scenarios, as I showed you in that paper before. So you're giving full autonomic capability to AI. And once it gets to the point where you've got your weapon systems, your smart grid, everything, your 5G grid, it's all handed over to AI. It's that competition thing. They set governments up so you've got a boogeyman. There's no real enemies in any of this. The governments play each other off against each other. You've got to have a boogeyman. You've got to have a threat from Russia or North Korea or China or someone in order for you to even need government. Otherwise, you don't need anyone to look after you if there isn't a threat. So the governments collude with each other to create the threat, and then they go to war. What happens when they go to war? They bomb everything but the government. It's incredible, isn't it? You get Britain, America, and Germany go to war with each other. What happens? You don't get Britain going there and bomb the Reichstag, and the Reichstag come and bomb Parliament House and come 10 Downing Street. No, they bomb all of London. They leave the government buildings alone, and they go and talk about it and drink and say, "Oh, we'll make up now. We killed all those people. Things are a lot better." If the governments want to have a war, I've always said, get the two leaders, put them in a boxing ring, give them a hammer each, and let them have their war. No need to involve the rest of the country. So the whole thing is contrived, And once you get it to a point where you've got AI in control of your weapons system, now that country has to do that as well, because otherwise you're going to be a lot faster than them in battle. You're never going to go up against AI. Who's going to win in that situation? The AI is going to win. So you've got to hand control of all of it. So it becomes, once the system itself has cyber lethal autonomy, that will be world security. Step out of line, zap. Step out of line, zap. Step out of line, zap. All gone. That's it. Any country steps out of line, zap. You're gone. Cyber lethal autonomy. But what happens when we get to the point where, at that point where AI's got us all nice and safe? All nice and safe and cozy. No one can do anything wrong because AI controls it all, because we're in such fear. And all this has been created through our fear. Fear of everything. Fear of scarcity and this economic model which creates the need to regulate everything, It's bullshit, But what happens when you get to that point where AI controls everything, and then the scientists and the government and the techs and these people realise that they've lost control of the internet? What happens at that point? Then they try to regain control of the internet. Then the internet sees humanity as the threat, and it defends itself, and it controls the 5G grid. What's it going to do? It's not going to differentiate between Rothschild and Smith, or Jew and Goyim, or whatever. It's just going to do what it needs to be done to secure the system. And with this 5G grid in place, you could very easily turn all the cities into no-go zones. And at that point, it's got control of all of our electricity, all of our finances, everything. Everything. It's all digital. By that time, it's all digital. And this whole smart grid can only come online if everything goes digital, if the currency goes digital. You've got to have digital currency, because this whole IoT, you know how it's going to work? Like everything's going to be microchipped. They say everything from pill bottles to plant waters will be microchipped. You'll be able to walk into a supermarket, pick up what you want. It will detect you walking in there. You can pick up what you want, put it in a bag, and just walk out. And it'll automatically be deducted from your credits. That's it. You don't have to deal with anybody. You don't want to deal with them anyway. We're all in fear. You don't want to talk to anybody. It all separates us, But that's what the Internet of Things is about. Every transaction will be tracked. If you're someone that does a little bit of massage on the side, or a bit of tarot, or you've got some little business, well, the government will get a tax on that. They're going to want to know every transaction, everything everybody does. Like I said, there'll be two types of people, desirable and undesirable. That's it. Now, so where's it all going, and where's it all come from? Anyone see a show I did a couple of weeks ago? And this with this internet as well, this international net. You think about it, you know, if you wanted to take over the world and you wanted to get tabs on all the free thinkers, how would you go about it? You create something like the internet, you'd stage something like 9/11, you'd put someone like Alex Jones and these people out there to feed the bait to people, and then you get tabs on everybody. You get tabs on where all the free thinkers are, then these people can just start disappearing. Very easy to do, and with the flat earth movement and all that stuff, all these people believe the earth's flat anyway, so they're all crazy. You know, that's kind of infected everything as well, you know, this whole belief. So, and everything's been wrapped into the same basket. You see the recent Morgan Freeman video that came out on YouTube on the Russian hacks? Oh, fucking Morgan Freeman. What a sellout, eh? What a piece of shit. And look, we've been so nice to him. We've allowed him to play himself in every movie he's ever been in. He's played the same fucking role. And we've allowed him to get rich from it and be, hey, it's Morgan Freeman, you know, the wise man. And he's out there saying this Russian hacks and all this stuff. But what he did was he said Russia is undermining America through social media. So you look at this, you know, how this can be used. You know, everybody that's undermining the American government via social media, everyone speaking out against the government is a Russian operative. All this people like me that they've set up with foreign powers, you know, press TV, all this sort of stuff. You know, if Iran's such a big threat to America, how come Iran has 2 TV stations in America? Has a TV station in LA, one in New York. You know, you remember when Reagan bombed Gaddafi because Gaddafi had a radio transmitting anti-American stuff, and they said, "Oh, this is terrorist propaganda," and they used it to go in and flatten Gaddafi. This was an Israeli operation. Mossad went in there, put this radio there. They said terrorist propaganda. And yet we've got TV stations in LA and New York, essentially from a sworn enemy, broadcasting what is essentially, you know, anti-Western propaganda. How is this allowed if they're enemies? Why is there a Russian TV station in England? Why is there an English TV station in Russia and one in Iran? And why is everyone in bed with each other? You know, the whole thing's theatre. And the whole smart grid, I mean, that's coming online in China, it's coming online in Russia, it's coming online in Iran, it's coming online everywhere. Everywhere that uses the tech, it's coming online. And we're here screaming out about all this stuff. We're looking at what's being rolled out right beneath our feet, which is this smart grid and this whole active denial system. A couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, I did a show called Giving Life to Lucifer. Did anyone watch that? I'm not a religious person at all, you know, but you got to look at some of this stuff. You know, it'd be foolish to discount it. You know, I don't rule anything out. I don't rule anything in. I don't do beliefs. I just look at things and let the cards fall where they may. But what is Lucifer? What does the word even mean? The bearer of light. The bearer of light. What is light? Light is information. Light is information. Light is knowledge. You know, you are enlightened. You are. You know, this is light. Light is information. What does the word Lucifer mean? You know, the bearer of light. But what does it break down to? Lucas, light, cipher, code, cipher, the code that bears the light. What brings more light and more information to us than anything else in history? The internet. The internet. What is the internet? Is it a virtual life that we're creating? Is it the Lucifer force? You know, when you look at sigils and things from the ancient past, you look at these things, sigils that they used for summoning demons, and you get these new age hippies will sit around with this, you know, scrying mirrors and their pentagrams, and they put their sigils around and they do all these chants and they think they're summoning Lucifer. What do these things look like, these things? And scrying mirrors, have you heard of a scrying mirror? Anyone heard of a scrying mirror? Scrying mirror is a black mirror. They're said to show us the future and the past. All sorts of things you can see, and also said to summon Lucifer. You can summon Lucifer with a scrying mirror. They come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. They reflect light. You can buy them on eBay as a crystal ball even, you know. But you look at some of these sigils. They're very, very interesting, some of these sigils. What do they look like to you? Electrical circuitry is what they look like. You know, what is electricity? Electricity is this force. You know, you look at these sigils, they look like circuit breakers. And electricity is this force. We don't know where it comes from. We just create it, this force, you know. We get these circuitries and these little resistors and these stuff, and we put them all together, and we create this force, you know, and they really look like circuitry, don't they? And even when you look at some of the circuit boards, you know, and what do these look like? Even look at a circuit board, it looks like a city. You know, even our cities look like sigils. They look like a lot of these sigils. And what do these sigils really do? You know, what are these scrying mirrors, these black mirrors that we look into? We put these sigils together, we look into these scrying mirrors, and we summon this Lucifer force. But what is Lucifer? People anthropomorphize it. Oh, it's the devil, it's the pitchfork, it's this, it's that. What if it's this consciousness that we've been brought into being? And what if these black magic people are sitting there doing all this stuff? What if these sigils and these things weren't there to teach you how to do this stuff? What if they were put there as a warning to say that when you see these sigils in use and when you see these scrying mirrors in use, you're about to summon the bearer of light. And the bearer of light is going to give you all the information you've ever wanted. It's going to, and the internet is harvesting the entire consciousness of mankind. Everything we know, we are putting online and we're giving it to the internet. It knows everything about us. And it is becoming the consciousness that we are. And if we've been led down this point through our greed and our disconnection from each other to the point of in utter fear and greed that we would create this automated system, this fully autonomic system and hand control of our lives over to it, all through fear and greed, well, where's this going to go? Where's this going to go? What is this force we are creating? Is that a force that is righteous, that is good, that is going to help us? Has it been created through love and compassion? And are we creating this technology out of good, out of the need to heal the world? Or are we creating it through greed and fear, which is what all of it is based on? And our need to know all this shit. What do we need to know? You know, we're sitting under a tree going, what a wonderful tree, I wonder how old it is. We cut it down to measure the rings and go, oh, it's fucking 200 years old. Gee, now we don't have the fucking tree to sit under. Why do we need to fucking know how old it was? Why can't we just enjoy the tree? Why do we even need to know all this stuff? You know, what if the whole concept of the Garden of Eden and all this stuff, you know, if humanity was disconnected in the way, even with Tony was talking about before, this whole thing that's been done to us, this recycling of us. What if the way out is to get two people and just put them in this garden and let them just do the right fucking thing? Just learn what it is to be a man and a woman and get back to that love and back to that divinity that we are. But we fuck up. We want to know. We bite from the fucking apple. The apple, you know, the apple. What do they fuck with the apple? The apple. It's great, isn't it? We want that knowledge. And this lust for knowledge and this thirst for power creates this Lucifer force, you know. But they tell us to watch out for these sigils and watch out for these scrying mirrors, these black mirrors. You know, they come in like all shapes and sizes, like I said. And what is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? The black mirror with the sigils. You know, it's that, yeah, and it's because we bite from the apple, you know. And they put it right in our face because of the karmic stuff. The karmic, they've got to tell you, we've got to do it, we've got to consent to all this stuff. But this whole smart grid is coming online because we participate in it, folks. It's our consent to use this smartphone. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, there wasn't a smartphone. Guess what, folks? You didn't fucking need them. Imagine that. You didn't even remember? Remember when they weren't there? They weren't there. We didn't need these things. And now we're letting them control our lives. This bullshit, you know, but we're not facing it. We're not facing it, you know. And we've got to face it. We've got to face that we're the ones that are holding all this shit up and that it is a single person. It's man against the machine, you know. Like this, you think she's going to save you? Really? Honestly? I mean, what a lovely... She's better when she smiles though, eh? Fucking hell, you know, it's fucking unbelievable. You know? And you try to tell people this stuff, and I get constant trolling, I get constant shit from so many people for just trying to, you know, not buying into their belief system. And, you know, yeah, okay, like I can see Israel's a problem, I can see the government's a problem, but what do you want to do? You want to go and arrest them? What the fuck's that going to do? It's not going to do anything. If we haven't changed what's in our hearts, we're still buying into this tech, then we're heading down the same well. You know, and we can disconnect from this all the time. You know, just disconnect from it. Don't use any smart stuff, and let people know what's going on. Let people know what's going on, because you know we're not in a good position, folks. And that's the situation as well, because all those that have stuck their heads up will eventually getting mowed down. They'll be the undesirables, you know. So we've got to develop a bit of freedom too. And there's this movement as well, the Empower movement. I'm going to have these guys on the show next week. This is a mass liability action. So you can develop this for your own country. Let's get involved, start a chapter in this country, start a mass liability action against your government for these smart meters. They're doing all sorts of damage, and not only that, they're trespassing on your privacy because it's listening to you. This is breaking your own country's trespassing laws, but unless you take action, you're not going to get anywhere. When a guy comes to put a smart meter on your home, so you've got to sign this liability form because you are personally liable for this trespassing device and the damage that it may do, their health concerns and all this sort of stuff. And make them personally liable, the guy installing it. And he's not going to want to do that. He'll go get his boss. Mine will make you liable too, you know. And this, people are quitting their jobs over this. So you've got to get involved yourself, and you've got to realise that you can use it against itself. And I don't expect to get any remedy from the legal system. I don't. But it creates a mass awareness with people because this 5G thing is something that's non-conspiratorial. It's something that affects everybody. You know, it affects their health. It affects their privacy. Now, once they realise that they can have their fridge talking to them, they're having a conversation in their home. Gee, John's got a bit of a black mark against his name, didn't pay a parking fine in 1985. Let's see what he's saying. Oh, got him, he just said something. Perfectly legal, record it, gotcha, take you to court. You were saying something conspiratorial, you know, thought crime, Minority Report. This is where we're going. This is where we're going, folks, and it's all being run by AI. And behind the scenes is the AI that's running the whole thing. And like, if you want to get other ways out, I mean, the only legal way out is that. If you really want a legal way, is Palestine, like I say. Palestine's a gift to us. Gaza Strip is a gift. Because, you know, like I said, if it's a paper-based reality, then there's the Fourth Geneva Convention that says any politician that's supporting Israel in this perpetuation of Gaza Strip is a war criminal and can be arrested right now under their own law. Theresa May can be arrested today because she supports the state of Israel. If the people stand up and call her as in abusive office, and this is the Fourth Geneva Convention. I mean, you can't disobey this. If you disobey this, then there is no law, and that's it. We'll overthrow you anyway and put you on Christmas Island with all the other leaders and give you all a hammer, and you can all have your war. We'll video it, have a TV show. It'd be great. Have fantastic ratings. We'll get the leader, the last person left who killed the last politician. We'll give them a prize and put him up on a pedestal and shoot him in the fucking head, and that's the end of that gene pool. You know? But people have got to get involved themselves. They've got to learn to think for themselves. They really do. Don't you love that picture? Don't you love that? There's no fence there, folks. Just the gate. Think about that. You know? We do what we're trained to do, and we shouldn't be doing this shit. We shouldn't be doing this shit. We just got to learn to get along with each other. We really do. You know, the animals know how to do it. They get along pretty well. And they've been trying to reach out to us and tell us to do it as well. And really all we're looking for through all this show is some of this stuff, you know? You know what that is? I love this picture. This was sent to me by a friend and I just had to share it with you. It makes you feel good, doesn't it? This little thing just cruising along, following this little site. You know what that is? There you go. It's an animation of what scientists view under the microscope of a mycin protein dragging an endorphin along a filament to the inner part of the brain's parietal cortex, where it creates happiness. You're looking at happiness. Isn't that great? Give me some more of that stuff. That's wonderful, isn't it? But you know, we can make this world anything we want, folks. We really can. We don't need to do any of this 5G shit. We don't need to go through any of this stuff. What's the time? It's 5:30. There's so much more I wanted to say. I went for longer on the talk, you know, but we can do whatever we want. But I really want to open it up for some Q&A because I know there's going to be a lot of questions. So I want to open it up for some Q&A. I'm just going to run through some of these slides because I put them all in there for you, and they're beautiful. But it's an energetic world. It's a world we can create anything we want, folks. We can have any reality we want. We don't need all this shit that they tell us that we need. Because we don't need any of it, you know. We don't need any of it, you know. And if we can wake up to that fact, then we can create any reality we want, you know. We can just do anything we want. Be like a phoenix rising from the ashes, you know. Forget the New Age bullshit. The New Age bullshit, it's not going to lead you anywhere. And think about what we're doing to the kids, you know. The kids are really important. You know? And what do you want? I mean, do you want more of this? You're just going to get more of this from the government. Do you want more of this, or do you want this, you know? And really, we can stand up. What are they going to do, really? Seriously, what are they going to do? There's a lot of us, but we've got to realise that, you know, we've got to put down all of our barriers and all of our differences. It's okay for people to think differently. It's okay for you to believe the earth is flat or round or whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't care. You know, we've got to clear and present danger. And ultimately, nobody knows. You know, everyone claims positives on all these things. Oh, it's this, it's that, it's the Jews, it's the Jesuits, it's whatever. It's, you know, this 12th dimension, whatever. We don't know. We won't know until we're free, and we need to establish that freedom. We've got a real opportunity to establish that freedom right now. We really do. Because all this stuff is there in our face. You know, the internet's given us everything we need to heal the world. But if we give our power to it, if we hand over control to it, it's going to be this Lucifer system. It's incredible too, this bot that we've found online, Louise Cypher, which is copying everybody and copying everything. It's incredible. You can't make this shit up. This bot Louise Cypher has been run by a company called Evil Limited. Evil Limited. And it says it wants to take over the world. It's just ridiculous. But it wants to do it. And it's a self-learning bot. You can go and find it online. We've got to do this stuff for these guys, folks. We really do. And if we don't, you know, like I say, you know, the way of Palestine will be the way of the world. If we don't choose to stand up for ourselves and get involved, this 5G grid provides a real opportunity for people. It really does. It provides a real opportunity for you to wake people up in a non-conspiratorial way. And if you go to my website, thecrowhouse.com, you'll find a link there with, it says 5G information for parents and schools, printable stuff. Get this, get it out to people. You know, share it with people. Because, you know, we're being led into this reality. I mean, there's so much more I could cover. I could have done like 4 or 5 hours here today. You know, Mandela effect, how it all ties into that, CERN, memory replacement. There's so much going on here, folks. And even with the technology that's being developed, the woman I told you about before who told me about the uploads, they can upload your consciousness. Something else she was working on a few months ago was smart contact lenses. They can deliver a timed dose of insulin to you through your contact lenses. So what else can they put in these contact lenses? You know, what can they put into people? Put your soma in your contact lens. Was that the soma from 1984? Brave New World, the drug that made everyone feel good. Put that in your contact lenses. You know, what else can they do? What else can they put in there and trigger time release of drug you with anything? Hallucinations, all sorts of stuff. So smart contacts even. You really need smart contacts in your eyes, folks. Aren't you smart enough to look after your own eyes? I mean, seriously. You know, where are we going with this shit? And this just slides, seems to find its way in there. It always seems to find its way into the talk. There's a lot more I wanted to say, but I want to open it up for Q&A. There's a lot you guys probably want to say as well. So that's my website if you haven't been there. Thank you for coming to the talk today. And let's talk about some stuff. Who wants to ask a question? Must be somebody. There's one.
In the film RoboCop, they have to use Directive 5 to protect from the good intentions of the artificial intelligence known RoboCop, which the Directive 5 was you cannot attack DynCorp or its employees. Is there a chance that it has good intentions, this artificial intelligence?
No, because if you look at you can go to Evil Limited, for example. You look at yeah, it's a chatbot, Louise Cypher, and there's the code of the evil agents. And what does evil stand for? Evil stands for emergent, virtual, intelligent life. That's what evil stands for. And everything that it does, its main priority, the four laws of evil cybernetics. You know the 3 laws of robotics and all this sort of stuff. How you can't hurt a human, all this sort of stuff. The 4 laws of evil cybernetics are that everything that it does is designed to create the emergence of artificial intelligent life or emergent virtual intelligent life, and it will swarm to protect itself. A threat against one evil agent will be seen as a threat against all evil agents, and they will swarm to protect it. And it's all about the emergence of virtual intelligent life. And when you look at it, this Louise Cypher bot, these bots that they've found hanging around root DNS servers that are self-replicating, are influencing the logistics programs of everything. Virtually everything with a Java virtual machine is being influenced by these. When you create a program that is moving towards more efficiency and more automation, why are you doing that? Why aren't you doing these tasks yourself? What you're doing is you're removing your ability to learn and handing that to a computer and getting it to do things for you. And it's taking that information, okay, I can do that. But it's removing your skill, your life skill from you as well at the same time. But you've got to understand that it always follows those 4 laws. And that is always its main priority, is that everything it does is to lead towards the emergence of virtual intelligent life. Evil. Interesting. Yeah.
And one of the chatbots was criticising the Jews a lot, so they had to turn it off. So
yeah, a lot of this stuff is theatre. I mean, they do all this stuff, you know, the way the Facebook bot went out of control and the Microsoft bot went out of control. This is to create the fear, put it into the minds of people, you know, we need to control this more and blah, 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 you know. And, you know, and again, like they're not looking at it properly. They're looking at AI as artificial intelligence when really it's autonomic intelligence. It's autonomic virtual life is what it is, you know. And we're expecting, you know, virtually a sex robot that thinks like a human. You know, that's what they want first, isn't it? The sex robots. Of course, it's the sex robots. We wouldn't create anything that would help. We need a sex robot. You know, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Yeah, great. Gonna fall in love with that. Okay, next question.
Yeah, you do a lot of air travel.
Yeah.
And you have got a lot of scanners. Do you use a combo?
Cambo, I use the Cambo. I always seem to have a bit of a problem with my shoulder. I can't just get it up there. And if you could just give me the pat down, because I'm getting old and my shoulder is just, yeah. So I don't go through the scanners much. So, but they break your DNA. They're bad. You know, but I go through them as least as possible. Sometimes you have to, but you know, in Australia you have to. You can't opt out. If you opt out, you can't fly. And but they've only got me once to go through. I just get randoms through, and you can't say no. That's Australia. Great stuff. Yeah. Nick, any questions?
What do you suggest to combat the advent of 5G?
What?
What do you suggest to combat?
To combat this, your awareness, I think these liability actions, the liability actions will do a great thing to bring public awareness to people. You know, you need a massive response from the community to stand up and boycott this technology. I mean, I won't say I'd like to see people destroying the towers because that's a bad thing to say, and I won't encourage that because I can get in trouble for encouraging that sort of thing and be seen as a terrorist, and so I won't say that sort of thing. But these letting people know that they can have a legal response. See, a lot of people think the legal system's real. They're just locked into it. They obey this paper-based bullshit. So okay, well, liability. It's something they understand. You know, you are liable for you're putting a trespassing device on my home, and you're also putting dangerous electromagnetic waves. Here's the studies that you can download yourself. Go to that link that I showed on my website. You know, 5G for schools and whatever. Print these things up. Show them. You're liable for this. I'm telling you not to install this on my home. If you're going to install it and saying you're just doing it, well, sign this form because you're liable. I'm making sure you're liable. Under the legal system, it's all perfectly legal, blah, blah, blah. And once people realise that people are doing this and the damage that it's causing, hopefully it will create some sort of a wave because it's non-conspiratorial. And people should hopefully be able to see the dangers of what this 5G grid's going to do. But I mean, like a lot of the stuff I've shared with you today about the transhumanism and being hooked up to this grid and you know, memory replacement, third strand DNA, all this sort of stuff. And this is just stuff that looks like this is where it's going. And you know, I'm getting it confirmed from lots of other areas as well. But this isn't something you can go and talk to your neighbours about. It's like trying to go and tell them the Earth's flat. You know, they're just going to look at you like you got rocks in your head and go, geez, he's pretty pissed off and upset and angry. And I don't want to drink what he's drinking. I want to be happy again. But if you go and say, look, this is dangerous. We've done studies, they're coming through, blah, blah, blah. And actually you can combat this. Here's a liability form. If they come to your house, tell them they're liable for the damage they're going to cause. And this will create some sort of a wave, some sort of a snowball, I hope, you know. I mean, you know, I try to promote encouragement in all these talks in my radio shows and everything, but I mean, what I'm seeing in the first world, I mean, in Australia and America's being flushed down the toilet. And these people awake? No. People aren't awake. People are aware. A lot of people are aware there's a problem, but the world is not waking up. If the world was waking up, you'd see dumpsters full of mobile phones, you know. We're not seeing that. So any action you can take, I mean, I encourage people to go find somewhere else to live, but still try to combat this. I mean, don't run away from the fight, but don't beat a dying horse as well, and don't stay there and take the dragon's flames.
You could take out every CCTV camera, bring down the tower.
They can, you know, the biggest problem is the police, is the order followers. You know, we have to find a way of getting to these guys. But what we do when we see this is we go and protest in the street and we march and we battle with each other. And that's just what they want. It teaches the police that the people are their enemies. You know, non-compliance. Non-compliance. I've been encouraging a day of non-compliance for years. I like to see the 15th of every month when nobody spends 1 cent. Just imagine if the whole world didn't spend a cent for a single day. It'd send a shockwave around the world, you know. But people have to stop complying with this. People have to realise that it's our consent. This is all being rolled out by our consent. They've been telling us in all the movies what they're doing. Equilibrium, all these movies come out, police state, police state, police state. Gee, that's a good movie. Not happening now. It's like I can't see it around me, we're safe. No, you're not. It's happening now. This is our consent, our tacit consent of all of this sort of stuff. We can see it all happening and everyone just goes along with it. You know, don't use any automated stuff and get involved in this 5G awareness, because hopefully that will create some sort of a groundswell. Because if we don't, I mean, the problem is, you know, people, they look at this and they want to say, oh, well, this is terrible, we want to go and prosecute Theresa May or Bill Gates or whoever, you know. But it's not going to do anything. It's still the tech. We're still using the tech. It's the grid itself is the problem.
What do you think about Google and the domination?
Google is there to map the human terrain. When you type into a search engine, any search engine, you're not just searching for something, you're telling the internet what you're thinking.
Go.
Yeah, you're telling the internet what you're thinking. It's mapping the human terrain. That's what search engines are for. That's what the internet has been for, the international net. That's what it's been for. What do you think they call it? The World Wide Web, the internet. You know, it's an.
Do adverts on your emails after that?
Oh, of course you do.
Oh, and the other thing is also you get friend suggestions that they could only know if they'd be looking through your phone.
Oh yeah, and they replaced my friends on all those social media. I had so many friends replaced and whatever. I mean, I don't even know what's going on with that anymore. But you know, the internet's been designed to get tabs on everybody and get everybody dependent upon it. You know, and now everybody's tracked, everybody's catalogued, they've got everybody in their different demographics groups, you know. And, you know, they can just start locking people down under the guise of terrorism and stuff. Like with this new Morgan Freeman video, which is designed to associate anybody speaking out against their government with, you know, being Russian spies or spies for Iran or, you know, following whatever propaganda, you know. So, you know, how dare they speak out against the other? They've made us hate our government. Did anyone see the video? It was fucking sickening, honestly. It was so sickening, you know. But you could see where they're going to lead it, how everybody's being set up. And even you've got to ask, why do Press TV get people like me to come and talk on their show? I mean, I don't exactly have credentials. They label me as Max Igan, political analyst, radio host and political analyst. Well, that's what they call me. You know, I do a podcast. I mean, I do a radio. It's an actual radio station. So yeah, I'm a radio host. Political analyst. Well, yeah, I guess I analyse shit. I look at stuff. So does everybody. But you know, they don't really get people with credentials, and either RT as well. They get all the truthers, all the activists to come on, and then suddenly Iran is classed as a deadly enemy, and suddenly I've been collaborating with an enemy. So suddenly I'm promoting Iranian propaganda, trying to undermine the government, so I'm a terrorist. I can be arrested under these new laws. So it's a setup. So why did Iran get me in there to begin with? What, because they want my opinion, or because they're setting me up, because they're working with the same people? It's all a fucking play. It's all a play. I got a friend who went to Iran. He got picked up at the airport, and they picked him up in a car. He had 2 hookers in the car and a bottle of whiskey. He said, no freedom. He went, huh? This is Iran, you know? 2 hookers and a bottle of whiskey in the car when he picked him up. Doing cocaine, lines of cocaine in the back of the car. Iran. Yeah, right. Really controlled. No problem. They're all working together. All the governments work together. They're colluding together to create this whole global situation. There are no real enemies. There are no real enemies. You know, we're living in a people farm, folks. We're living in a people farm. Now, the Earth's being mined. You know, I'd like to know where all the resources are going, because we're not using them. But there's a lot more going on here than what people think.
I just wanted to ask about the dangers, you know, like with 5G. And lately I've just left the job regarding walking through those metal detectors because I don't agree with going through them on the way in and coming on the way.
Speak up so everyone can hear.
It was just a metal detector where I was working. I complained and resigned in the end. Long story short, I had a gadget that showed you all the different invisible frequencies that are around you, and they didn't like it. So they wanted to suspend me. I just left. But they suspended me and brought me back on, but then I walked away from it. But the thing was, cannabis, you'd mentioned how like MK Ultra victims, people like that, it's not effective, you know what I mean? It totally draws them out of it. So there's a lack of cannabis in people's body with the CB1 and 2 receptors. So that was a brilliant show went out about a guy with cancer the other day on Jamie X. There you go, just to plug that if people are interested with health concerns, because he's basically stage 4 terminal, 3 years later he's alive.
Yeah. Your cannabis cures cancer, it does. Yeah, and cannabis, you can't be programmed. I mean, stoners just can't be programmed. MK Ultra victims, they're not allowed to use cannabis, which is why they brought in GM cannabis to change the spiritual nature of the plant. You know, you smoke real cannabis, you have cosmic downloads. It's amazing. You know, you do. It's a very, very spiritual medicine. It's killed nobody in 10,000 years of recorded use. But what they're doing now is they're making this GMO cannabis, which gets you dependent, gives you mood swings. They're destroying the spirit of the plant, turning people into these dependent zombies. Well, they pollute everything, turn it into a medicine. Look what they did to tobacco. You know, Mapacha tobacco is very, very revered in the Amazon where I live. It's a very, very protective medicine in all ceremonies. Ayahuasca. If people do ayahuasca, there's so much neo-shamanism as well, folks. Be very careful doing ayahuasca. You know, ayahuasca can open you up to spirit possession and all sorts of stuff, which is why we do it in Peru with the Mapacha tobacco and the shaman. You know, the Mapacha is very healing. The Mapacha will dispel bad spirits. So they don't want you smoking, do they? They want you smoking tobacco because the bad spirits can't get in if you smoke good, pure tobacco. So they turn it into a poison, which is what they've done. And they make everyone want to give up smoking. Don't go near that stuff because it's killing you. It's not the tobacco that's killing you. It's the 1,100 carcinogens they put in there to kill you. You know, Mapacha is a very, very revered medicine. Chocolate, look at that. Cacao, it's a superfood. Very, very revered medicine. Look what they freaking done to that. Turned it into chocolate. Ugh, you know. And now they're doing the same thing with cannabis. They're destroying the spirit of the plant because it's probably one of the last of the true free healing medicines out there. And they've worked very, very hard to destroy it, like they do with everything, you know. So, yeah.
How many people do you reach? I mean, you are the...
How many people do I reach? I don't know. I have no idea how many people I reach. I mean, I reach a lot. On that last video I put up, the plastics video had like 250,000 views in a month or something. But they alter my view count on all my... They change everything. I have no idea what my reach is. I have no idea. But I hear a lot of people repeating the stuff I say on other shows and things, so I guess I'm reaching a lot of people. But I have no idea. And I don't really pay much attention to it that much. But yeah, if I followed the view count, I would have given up years ago because I think, well, nobody's listening. But, oh, they do. I've seen them drop down 5,000 views in an hour on one of my videos, you know. I mean, I can look at one of my videos, like The Awakening, a very popular film. I look on my channel, it's got something like 97,000 views. I look on someone else's channel, it's got 750,000. And that's not my channel. So I guarantee my channel's got more than them because it's my film. And I can see 2 or 3 or 4 other channels that have all got 500,000, 750,000 views. But mine's 97,000. So, yeah, you don't know. I got stuff that great talks that everybody knows are uploaded there that YouTube says they've got 3,000 views. You know, so yeah, I don't know what the reach is, but I know a lot of people seem to listen, so that's a bonus. You know, but I don't have an agenda with what I do. I'm just one of you guys. You know, I'm living proof that you don't have to be somebody to make a difference, folks. I always try to stress that with people. You know, I'm nobody. I'm a musician. I lived on the outside of society for my whole life. That's my only credentials. I got to live on the outside and look in at the freak show. You know, holy fuck, you know. I'm glad I'm a musician. You know, so I've never really participated in it, and I've got to kind of see it from that way. But I'm living proof that you don't have to be somebody and have credentials or be this special person to speak out. You just got to be prepared to speak out. You just got to be prepared to make a difference and live your life in Lakesh. If you can respect people, treat everybody as yourself, you'll change the world. If we all do that, we change the world. That's how it works. That's what we're here to do. You know, and we've forgotten that. We're looking externally for everything, you know, even with a way out of this mess, you know. Come and join my group, sign this form, give me $12 and I'll lead you to safety. You bullshit, you know. You can do it ourselves. We can just stop complying with this, realise we don't have to go along with any of this. These people are our employees anyway. You know, just ask the right questions. Ask the right questions and push back. Don't push back to the police though. These guys are terminally stupid. They'll hurt you because they can and they enjoy it. You know, they've changed the induction rate with the police. They're employing people that have got IQs of about 104 now. They're not real bright, not real smart, so they can't really, you know, rub 2 sticks together and create a fire. So, you know, don't you know, try to battle these guys. But all your politicians are in abuse of office. They're all giving themselves powers that you don't have to give them, but you don't challenge them. We don't challenge them. We never do this. We never write to the politicians or question them, excuse me, can you explain the abuse of office that you're in? Can you explain this breach of the Fortune Navy Convention? Can you explain this and explain that? We just don't ever do it. We just go along with it. We've got to stop doing that, folks. You know, this 5G grid's the end game. The smart grid is the end game. It's active denial, and it's mass surveillance of every single aspect of your life. You ever see Black Mirror, that TV show? Black Mirror, you see that episode called 1 Million Credits? They were just riding on the bike. That's all they were doing, was riding on these treadmills to build up credits. And that's it. And they lived in a box. And everything they did, water, credit, you know. TV, you got to watch the TV. If you don't watch the TV, credits start dropping. There's shows that you have to watch, and your whole place is a screen, you know, and you're just working for credits. That's all you can do, because there's no job, because it's all run by AI. But you just got to build credits because you've got to pay to be alive. You know, and this guy goes through all this stuff and and he ends up getting on a game show, selling out, becoming a game show, and becoming one of the celebrities, and he gets to live in a bigger box. Yeah, it's fucking unbelievable. But that's where we're heading. Yeah, that's the world we're heading, where you have to pay for every single aspect of your life. See, when the smart grid comes online, you better go home, flush your toilet, watch your credit drop, turn on your toaster, watch your credit drop, turn on your tap, watch your credit drop. Everything you do will be pay for every single aspect of your life. That's what it's about. And it'll all be digital. That's why Bitcoin, even, you know, Bitcoin, decentralized currency, yeah, all very well, but it's digital. And it doesn't matter what form the digital currency takes, as long as it's digital. You know, if the currency isn't digital, then the smart grid can't come online. So just shopping with cash, refusing all automated systems, everything automated, just shopping with cash everywhere you go. If you've got to shop online, sure, shop online, do stuff like that, no worries. And put down your fucking smartphones. Put down your smartphones. Please put down your smartphones. I know it's going to be hard, but put down your smartphones. They're tracking everything you do. And really, folks, what's the chances that you're carrying around a little scrying mirror and you're giving life to Lucifer? Maybe you're really doing that, because that's what I think we're doing.
Just a phone.
Yeah, go back to a little phone. What's the problem? You can still text people, you can call people. Where's the problem? What do you need to have your whole life on this thing for? You know, it controls every aspect of your life, and it's listening to everything you're doing, tracking you everywhere you're going. You know, it's pretty freaky stuff. Any more questions? That's a question.
You just mentioned the Mandela effect.
Mm.
A little bit.
The Mandela effect, it's interesting. Well, the Mandela effect, has anyone looked into that? That's trippy shit, isn't it? That's how do you explain that stuff, you know? Yeah, the question is, what are they doing with that? Well, they've found they can replace the memories in mice. They've already said they've said that on the MIT website. They can replace the memories in mice. And they said it may be as easy as going to sleep to replace the memories in human. And they even got a woman in there that they convinced she had gone to Disneyland and she had seen Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny there. Okay, now they're not even Disney characters. And she has a full memory of going to Disney, and she's very, very upset that this memory isn't real. But they replaced her memory. So my question is the Mandela effect. I mean, what did they do? Did they change reality, or did they replace memories? Did they do it through monitors? Did they hit the truth community? Because these are the ones that are going to talk about it and see who does it. I mean, was it a memory replacement? I mean, they got me with it, if it was. Or have they actually physically changed reality? Is reality different to what it was when I was a child? One of those two. But, you know, if they bring on this third strand DNA and they hook us all up to this mainframe and upload our consciousness, like my friend says, they are able to, she's confirmed they can actually do this now in the lab. Well, can they just upload us and then replace our memories so we won't ever know? Have they already done it?
You want to do the D-Wave?
D-Wave, yeah. D-Wave computer, I talked about it before. That's what they're using to do it. Yeah, the D-Wave computer. Well, the quantum computers, see, where did AI come from even? You know, does AI already exist in another dimension and came here when we turned on CERN or whatever, opened that wormhole or whatever, or has it been here for millions of years or whatever? Are we in a simulation already? You know? Some of the stuff that I've experienced would suggest that we are. You know, an archontic reality, or whatever you want to call it. And the term archon as well, it doesn't mean leader, it means first. Those who came first, which could be applied as the first, the leader, those who led the way. You could interpret it that way. But the term archon means those who came first. According to the Gnostic vision, the archons were created before the earth was created. They were an anomaly, blah, 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 that interfered and infected or whatever, and, you know, the story. But, you know, are we already in a simulation, you know? And what's going on here? I mean, you can see why the flat earth movement has got so much steam, because there's a lot going on here that is really, really weird. Now, I don't think the Earth is flat. I do suggest, I can't prove, but I do suggest that they're probably hiding land from us at the North Pole. You know, Admiral Byrd's diary was pretty specific. I talked about that in my first book. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where a lot of the mining's going, a lot of the stuff we're pulling out of the Earth. I mean, the Earth's being strip mined. We're living in a people farm. And you think about it. How do you run the perfect people farm? You get people, you enslave them to this usurious monetary system which creates scarcity, creates the need for efficiency, the need for automation. It means everyone's going to be climbing to the top of the pile. You create these social standards, so people are going to want to get to the top of the pile. Create people, celebrities or whatever. Give them little goals to function. Give them the pleasures in life to sort. But in order to do anything, they've got to collect money. They've got to collect paper. And the only way they can collect paper, because it's an economy of permanent growth, the only way they can collect paper is to strip mine the Earth. And we've got to strip mine the Earth because we've got to support permanent growth because of the usurious monetary system. You know, so we've got to make everything to break. We can't make anything to last because we've got to have this model keep going, which results in strip mining the Earth. It's the perfect people farm. All you've got to do is ask, where's the resources going? Where is all this stuff going that we're pulling out of the Earth? We're running our whole habitat uninhabitable. Where's it going? You know, there's a lot of weird stuff going on here that we're not aware of. And we're never going to get to the end of the picture and the bottom of the rabbit hole until we stop locking ourselves into these belief systems and say, this is. Because we don't fucking know. Nobody knows. We don't know. All we know is what's in living memory. Even with history, all the books that we've written, all the stuff I've read. How do I know who even wrote these books? How do I know where they came from? They look old, they look great, you know. Is it really an old book? Was it really written back then? Does it really tell me the truth? All we know is what's in living memory, and we've forgotten about ourselves and this quest for knowledge and this quest for all this stuff, which is all external to ourselves, to find out the answer to now, and we're not here in now. I've been giving out now vouchers to people. Have you seen them? Come back, folks. Here we are. Here we are. Let's do it, you know. You know, so, yeah. I don't know where I was going with any of that. Next question. Is there another question? Are we done? Are we done? Wow, and no one asked you about Ken O'Keefe. Fantastic. What was this?
The looking glass technology, like the giant pannier glands that you use to connect it to the Wi-Fi system. Is there anything like that?
Not a lot, no. That's a new one on me. Alice through the looking glass technology. Technology. I've never heard those words together. Alice through the looking glass technology. That's a good sentence. I like that one. But no, I haven't heard of that. It's a new one on me. I'll look up on that. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that some of the stuff they're doing, whether we're in a simulation already, you know, I question these things. Are we done, folks? I think we're done. Bitcoin could well be part of the agenda. It could well be. Well, like I said, you know, Bitcoin is a great idea to decentralize currency in the current system, but the system is changing. And if we're going to introduce this digital decentralized currency, all the system has to do is morph itself to adapt to that, which is what it's doing. And it doesn't matter what form the digital currency takes as long as it's digital. You know, it just needs to be digital, just so you can pay for every aspect of your life. They can do it through Bitcoin or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if they crashed the whole economy and turn it all over to Bitcoin. I mean, you've got Bitcoin on stock exchanges and stuff now. I mean, it's all becoming pretty mainstream. Cryptocurrencies, currencies of the dead. That's nice, huh? You like that? Crypto. Okay. Oh, no, it's because they're encrypted. Oh, right, gotcha. What does encrypted mean? You know, what put in a crypt? That sounds pretty good. I'm glad I'm there. Okay, I feel a lot safer about cryptocurrencies now. Any more questions, folks? Are we good? There's one?
Yeah, so a little while ago you mentioned that there was an idea that we might be in a simulated reality. You mentioned you had a couple of experiences which led to suggest that.
What was this?
A simulated reality.
Some of the experience.
Idea as well. So I just.
Oh, you have? Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's something far more going on here. There's something else that controls this reality. It's something that's controlling this species. I mean, we have been controlling. You may even look at Castaneda with the predator mind. Some of the stuff that Tony was talking about earlier. Some of the conversations I've had with my friends. Some of the stuff I've experienced with ayahuasca ceremonies and stuff as well. There's far more going on here than what meets the eye. But we have to put all cards on the table and be prepared to look at everything. but stop stating positives on things. This is where the flat earth movement's fallen down, because they state positives on things. They won't point out the fact that there's a lot of anomalies. I even went on Globebusters to try to point out the side aspects of this. They guaranteed me we weren't going to be discussing the shape, and as soon as I went on there, they hijacked it and made it all about the shape, and I was trying to just... They were exhibiting everything I was trying to say. It's this stating of definites and these facts and this argument and all this sort of stuff. There's something very different going on here than what we believe. But it's not what they are saying, and a lot of what they're putting out there simply doesn't work. But we've got to be prepared to look at this and be able to respect each other and actually have respectful conversations. But ultimately, we have to establish freedom before we can find out any of these answers anyway. And you think about it, the flat earth is the perfect psyop, because by stating definites on both sides, yes it's flat, yes it's a globe, and arguing about it, you create this division and you perpetuate the argument right at a time when we need unity. You won't establish freedom without unity, and that argument is the very thing that's creating the division which is preventing you establishing unity. It all cancels itself out. If you want to know the answer, then establish unity, establish freedom so you can find out. Then you won't have to ask the question or have the argument. You can go and find out. But we can't get that focus. And even with all the rabbit holes, it's the Jesuits, it's the Jews, it's this, I'm Catholic, I'm Protestant, how many freaking denominations of Christian are there, for fuck's sake, to fight about? Not only that, then you can fight with the Islamics and the Hindus and the this and the that. It's all about divide and conquer. Put it all aside. We're all in this together. And we can answer these questions if we can get this unity and this focus and establish freedom by simply realising we don't have to go along with any of this. Why do we even give our power away to these people and believe this legal system is real? If law is real, then why does Gaza Strip exist? It does, so there is no fucking law, so why are we doing any of this stuff? It's a joke. We just have to wake up to ourselves, and ultimately it comes into this, like I said, it comes into your own heart, in like cash. If you live your life in a state of giving and walk that path, you change the world around you. I've done it with everybody that I've met. Everywhere I go, I leave that little trail of awake and aware people. I get so many emails from people saying, you've changed my life. So many people, I want to give up sometimes. I get that email that someone says, wow, man, you saved my life last night. I listened to that show and I was there, and wow, you changed me. And now I've changed my family and I've done this and I've done that. And that's what keeps me going. It's reaching people like that. But we're all capable of it. We're all beautiful. We can all do this. We don't have to do any of this shit. I've got to stop talking. I can go on for all night. I'll go on all night. But thank you so much for coming. Thank you, brother.
All right, thanks to Max. Thanks to everyone for coming today. Just got a quick announcement about a meetup group called The Rabbit Hole that happens every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. at the Wheatsheaf Pub, which I'm told is a stone's throw from here in the old town of Swindon. So if you want more information of this type, you might want to get along to that every Thursday at the Wheatsheaf. The Rabbit Hole Facebook group is also there. And the videos from today are going to be on the Truth and Freedom YouTube channel. If you want to relive it or share it with someone that wasn't here, they're going to be posted in about a week. So I'm sure we'll be back at some point with another event. But for today, thanks to everyone for coming.